The Dodgers and Rangers last met in LA, and the plays at home plate told the story. Tags avoided, benches cleared, and LA walked off winners. Now we reconvene, but this time it's in Texas. Rangers baseball presented by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. Yeah, and this time it is in Texas. The Rangers happy to be back home for the first of two quick ones against the Los Angeles Dodgers. A little interleague baseball here at Globe Life Park tonight. Welcome in, everybody. Great to be with you once again, and really good to be back home. I'm Dave Raymond alongside CJ Nitkowski. Rangers back after a week long in San Francisco, and now facing another West Coast team. It's interleague play, but this is a Rangers team happy to be home for a number of reasons, not the least of which is this month they have raked in this ballpark. They
absolutely have, and you get this a lot with ball teams. They love the idea of hitting at home, sleeping in your own bed, but getting in that familiar batter's box and your ability to see the ball, the batter's eye, you're just more comfortable at home. It's pretty consistent, and that has been the case for the Rangers this month. A 9-4 record, 5 games above 500, but more importantly, how about 7.4 runs per game? That is a huge number, hitting better than 300 and driving the ball out of the ballpark. So for the Rangers right now to get home for this extended homestand, they are very happy about it.
All right, well, they're facing the Dodgers here tonight, and this is an LA team that maybe in the standings very similar in terms of numbers to where they were in June when the Rangers saw them. But at the same time, this Dodgers team feels like a very different situation.
Well, it is, and also because they've added a couple of new players at the deadline. But right now, they are chasing a couple of teams in the National League West. And this is a little bit of a surprise for Dodger fans because they were a favorite coming into the season to win the division. They got some work to do right now. They're in third place. They're fourth in that wild card as well. So certainly out of that playoff picture for now. But this is a good team. Look at the ERA. That is the best in the National League. And they have hit more home runs than any other club in the National League. They can drive it out of the ballpark, and they can do it with a lot of different players. 8 of them with 15 or more home runs this season. That is the most in Major League Baseball. And that does, of course, include Manny Machado, who started the season with the Baltimore Orioles. And so for Ranger pitching the short 2-game series, they're going to have to find a way to keep the Dodgers in the ballpark.
And maybe find a way to keep up with them offensively. That could mean some pressure on this guy, Adrian Beltre, the former Dodger, playing against the team that gave him his first shot. And he's in the spotlight with Emily Jones when we come back. Rangers baseball airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right.
Just about set for a 2-game interleague series between the Rangers and the Dodgers. Should be a fun one here tonight at Globe Life Park in Arlington. The wind's blowing a little bit, but hopefully the welcoming winds back here to Arlington as the team has been on a road trip. And as Adrian Beltre comes back to Arlington, he welcomes back his old team, his first team, the original team. The one he made his Major League debut with, and the one we find in the Shiner Light Blonde spotlight. His first career hit, June 24th, 1998. That means 20-plus years ago, Adrian Beltre came onto the scene. He was in the bigs because Bobby Bonilla was on the DL. And if you'll remember the story, guys, they tried to send him back down to the minors. He talked his way into staying in the major leagues. Glenn Hoffman and Tommy Lasorda could not refuse. And there, 20 years later, we see the numbers that he has racked up. Quite a career. And as we've seen Adrian this season, it's been fun to see him almost a little bit be nostalgic, kind of come to terms with the fact that things are on the downhill side and really trying to soak in every moment and every game that he plays. Not that he hasn't everyone leading up to it, but you can see him kind of savoring it just a little bit more these days, guys.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it's one of those things, too, that's hard for players to do because they believe that they're going to play this game forever, and then, of course, you're not. And if it starts to kind of set in a little bit, you allow yourself to enjoy it and be nostalgic. And so that's cool that Adrian has done that here as of late.
Yeah, and hard not to do the math and realize that you play this division every 3 years. Who knows if you get another shot against your former and first team. Ariel Jurado out to the mound to get things warmed up. Let's take a look at the Dodgers. 70 wins, 61 losses. They're only 2 games back of Arizona in the West, and they lead it off with left fielder Jock Peterson. Justin Turner at third base, Manny Machado at shortstop, and then in the heart of things is Max Muncy, the DH from Keller High School. At second base, Brian Dozier. Yasmani Grandal, the catcher, bats sixth. Then it's Bellinger, Enrique Hernandez, and Chris Taylor rounding it out for LA.
Yeah, and they will be going up against Ariel Jurado, as you mentioned. We'll take a look at the Shiner light blonde pitch arsenal for the Rangers right-hander this evening. And it's been a lot of fun to watch him pitch here so far and get comfortable at the big league level. And what you see is a lot of two-seam fastball. 69% of the time he has thrown that pitch. There's a slider, changeup, curveball in the mix, as well as that occasional four-seam fastball. But look at that note on the bottom. The spin rate on his two-seam fastball is the lowest in Major League Baseball. We talk about high spin rate a lot and how that's a really good thing, and using your fastball up in the zone, you want to have a really good high spin rate. Well, when you're a two-seam fastball pitcher, when you're using that sinker, lower spin rate is actually a good thing. And for Jurado, the lowest right now in all of Major League Baseball. That is among pitchers that have thrown at least 300 fastballs this season. We'll take a look at the Rangers defense this evening, which is delivered to you by Methodist Health Systems. Chu, Gallo, and Mazzara in the outfield for Jeff Bannister's club. And in the infield, Jurickson Profar, Elvis Andrews, Rougned Odor, Ronald Guzman, and it's Robinson Chirinos behind the plate.
All right, so we are set to go, and it is still warm. 95 degrees.
Sound surprised.
Yeah, well, you know, it just came from that week-long stop in San Francisco where I'm not sure it got above 65 degrees at any one point.
Light jacket for you?
You know, it was a long sleeve pullover most days. Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, underway, and Jock Peterson takes strike one. Peterson at 242 for the year, 19 home runs, and goes back to the point you were making in the open. Doesn't matter if it's the leadoff spot, the 9-hole in the order, wherever it is. The Dodgers seem to have plenty of power available. Jurado runs it inside, 2-1. It'll be interesting to see how the Dodgers fare against the sinker baller. Jurado, he does a good job getting swings like that. 2-2 the count.
Well, you got a guy like Jock Peterson who's ultra aggressive, right? You see him in a 2-1 count. He is sitting fastball, and Jurado missed by a pretty good amount. That was well below the zone and in the dirt. But you get a guy like Jock Peterson, even though he's a guy that is hitting leadoff, he is a free swinger. 32% of the time he's swinging at pitches outside the strike zone.
And a weak roller to second base. Odor right there, one away. So good start for Jurado.
And that's what we keep an eye on, right? The ground ball is so important to the success of any pitcher that relies heavily on the two-seam fastball, and it's a good start for the Rangers right-hander. And it's a 52% ground ball rate that he has posted so far this season. League average is about 44, so he has been well above league average so far, has Jurado.
Well, he gets Justin Turner now, and you see Turner's numbers for the year, and started the year on the disabled list. Lately has been swinging a brilliant bat. Now he's only played 71 games this year. 1-1 the count. In the month of August, Turner is hitting .405. That is the best average in all of Major League Baseball. Chopper, third base. Playable for Profar, 2 away. So, a couple of ground balls to start it. And now Manny Machado. Those numbers there, 31 home runs, 82 RBIs. That's his time combined with Baltimore and LA.
He hasn't been quite the same guy here with the Dodgers so far. He has hit 7 home runs for them, but the batting average is off. 315 with the Orioles, 266 he's been hitting with the Dodgers.
Machado, an important addition to this team. They found themselves in dire need of some help at shortstop. A little roller up into the bat. Machado grounds out a 10-pitch first inning for Ariel Hurtado, and he gets 3 ground balls. So nice start for the rookie. As we take a look at our Southwest Airlines starting lineup, Shin-Soo Choo in left field leading it off tonight. Rougned Odor at second, Elvis Andrus at short. It's Mazzara, Beltre the DH, and Profar in the middle. Gallo bats 7th, Chirinos catches, and Ronald Guzman at first base rounds it out. Against that guy, Walker Buehler, 6-4 and a 2.96 ERA. It's his 17th start of the year.
Some mixed feelings here because Buehler's been really good. He's an interesting guy and kind of excited to see him pitch in person, but you don't want to see the good version of him because this is a guy that can be absolutely dominant.
23 years old and a very highly touted young right-hander. It's his 3rd professional season, and he was a top prospect in this organization. The chopper right back toward the mound. Took a while to get to him. Buehler hustles it over to first, and Choo retired 1 away.
Let's take a look at our Shiner light blonde pitch arsenal for Walker Buehler. 4-seam fastball that he throws 41% of the time. You'll see the slider and the 2-seam fastball, occasional curveball, and then every once in a while you'll see a changeup as well. But the fastball averages 96 miles an hour. And he has allowed just a 192 batting average against that 4-seamer so far this year. It has been a dominant pitch for him. And we don't say that as much anymore. I mean, there are good fastballs out there with high velocities, but we see even good pitchers with good fastballs start to back away from that pitch a little bit, but not Walker Buehler.
Odor takes the ball. Fastball there at 95 miles per hour. 17 home runs. As Rookie has had the foot on the gas pedal in the second half, for that matter, since May. 2-0. Since May 24th, just a shade under 300. The average has jumped over 100 points. And it's 2-1. And Roogie, a very central character in the Rangers' comeback efforts in San Francisco over the weekend. Some real interesting games at AT&T Park, and he had a couple of big home runs. 2-2 to Roogie. A good test for him here, getting a look at this young right-hander. Rangers have never seen Walker Buehler before. 2-2 pitch. And that one's a little tight. Full count.
And you can see with the good velocity, a guy that is not afraid to use the fastball up in the zone. He was trying to go up middle. This one ended up going up and in and just missing the strike zone. We see those 3 pitches there in our Fox track. Some high fastballs out of the hand of Walker Buehler.
Ooh, pulls a string on him, and Odor strikes out swinging. 2 away.
Take a look at this curveball from Walker Buehler. This has also been a very good pitch for him. Just a 200 batting average against. The only pitch in his arsenal in which he has not surrendered a home run. Take a look. There's a nice look at this. Is a legitimate 12-6 break as it goes straight down, and you see Rougned Odor just out in front of it. It's a pretty good looking curveball from the young right-hander.
So Elvis takes a healthy cut at strike 1. Now I feel like when you see a pitcher like this, a guy you've never seen before, I mean, he's got an advantage, right? This one hit well out to center field, carrying a little bit. Taylor angling back to his left, and that'll complete a 1-2-3 bottom of the first inning. So both starters off to pretty nifty beginnings tonight. We go to the second. Rangers, and It's Outside the Box today, front office, and so we're excited to bring in JD, John Daniels, president, general manager of the ball club. And we're not going to pester you with questions about the roster and players that we should be worried about or September call-ups. We'll do that tomorrow.
Nice. I'm trying to see who you follow on Twitter.
Yeah, way to go, Dave.
AP.
Is this a record for you? I actually asked him before. I said this is, I think, the 4th or 5th time, whether it's in the broadcast booth, spring training, or the Texas Live event, that we've had an opportunity to sit and talk with you. And assuming you're kind of tired of it.
No, I need to track
maybe.
down what my plus minus while I'm in the booth is.
Oh, that's a good point.
To determine whether we're going to keep coming back.
Last appearance, I believe, went really well. Didn't it? I think we scored
Texas
some runs.
Live?
Well, not well. That
ended pretty
that
well.
count?
Not for you on the animated golf. That was pretty brutal.
So, JD, it's we want to talk about, the front office for fans out there who wonder a little bit, how does it work? How's it set up? You are out there a little more than some of the other guys, right?
Sure.
I mean, but why don't we just start with how large is the staff that you employ, you work with?
Well, in the front office or baseball ops?
No,
in
your
general?
baseball ops.
Baseball ops, it's I think we're about 180
Wow.
people.
Really?
Yeah, when you're counting, all of our scouts, all of our analysts, everybody in the front office, all the coaches, trainers, strength coaches throughout the system.
And Muncie dumps one into left field for a hit.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big operation. Most of our employees are not in the front office. We have a big group that you guys know in the clubhouse, from the staff, the support staff, the clubhouse staff, et cetera, the medical staff, Jose Vasquez and his strength and conditioning crew. But the group that's actually up in the front office, I want to say there's about maybe 12, 15 of us that are there. A little bigger than that with the analytics group because they're upstairs. Probably about 20 of us on a regular basis that are in the office.
I think a lot of people are interested in the process because I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of people that think they can do your job pretty well. They love to send us messages and all these other places, but the reality is, of course, it is an extremely difficult job. But even breaking in, that scene at the winter meetings is pretty incredible. But, I mean, and things have changed. Is there a steadier path, a recommended path? If you were really interested in this kind of thing, what does the background have to be, and what is your best chance of even getting into a front office, period?
So it's changed dramatically.
Oh, nice scoop. Dropped it second. Everybody will be safe. Well, it's like the beginnings of a clever double play.
So it's changed dramatically. When I got my foot in the door, I was at the winter meetings in '99. It was in Anaheim, and I remember at the bar late at night, sitting there with Peter Gammons and George Brett and Bruce Bochy. My point is, there was no mass of job seekers. It was a really small group, and by the way, none of those three guys have any recollection I was there. I'm sure, not because of what they were drinking, but because I'm sure I didn't register at all. But the access was totally different. So I think I got in at a really fortunate time, and I did an internship in the front office with the Rockies. Which is still a very popular method to go, Major League Baseball ops internship. But the operation is so much bigger now. There are a lot of other points of entry. There's a ton of, from video interns to, interns in every department. But one of the areas that you see on the analytics side that, let me take a step back. Most of the ways to get in, entry-level ways to get in, there are more applicants than jobs. Maybe I'll finish that afterwards.
No, that was great.
That's right. We didn't get the out early. So you guys distracted me. I don't know how else they were.
Dave distracts me all the time.
Most of the areas to get into baseball, I think there are many more applicants than jobs. On the analytics side, and step back, that's from programmers, software development to analysts. It's really competitive, and we've at different job fairs and conferences. People have multiple job offers from different clubs. So that is a skill set, an area of background education that if you bring to the table, along with a love for the game and a curiosity for trying to prove out different ideas, you can make a big impact, and you can be really sought after and competed for.
So it's a little harder to get some of the best that are available, at least the ones that are willing to take those entry-level positions. Is there a way you can separate yourself from your side? Obviously, these guys are doing some special things.
So if you have, first of all, I tell everybody to, follow the game everywhere you can. See as many games as you can. There's no substitute if you love the game. I've always said to learn Spanish. I'm a huge separator. Something that my Spanish is still pretty rusty, but it's a huge advantage if you can. And then if you can learn, a variety of programming languages that are out there. If you have any sort of combination of those three, a feel for the game, a love of the game, read and watch as much of it as you can. The ability to speak Spanish, and then from the programming side, be a pretty attractive candidate to enter the game. At the end of the day, too, like we all want to work with good people.
Yeah.
With smart people that have empathy and compassion, and
still working on it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Present company excluded. And so, I mean, obviously, like people skills count a ton. I kind of brushed by that as that's obviously a prereq.
So it's a great time to ask a follow-up question. 2 outs, a full count. The breakdown of the day or breakdown of the job for somebody in the front office, right? When you talk about, there's the player development side. You guys are watching so many of your own players as well as other teams' players. And we'll get to this when we come back. 4-3 put out, inning done. All right, John Daniels with us. He'll be kind enough to stay because we're making it. No score. Here for the Rangers, John Daniels, kind enough to join us, president, general manager of the Rangers. So I was asking you, of all the various responsibilities that you guys have at the front office on the baseball ops side in particular, how much time do you guys spend, developing new ideas, thinking about the game differently, brainstorming, whatever that is, versus the traditional elements that we're all vaguely familiar with?
Probably not enough, honestly. That's been a big focus for us this summer, as we've spent a lot of time just looking at how we're structured and whether we're structured the right way. What we do on a day-to-day basis, probably 60–70% of it depends on the calendar, right? So obviously the draft, the trade deadline, July 2, getting ready for spring training, hopefully your pennant race, postseason, winter meetings. You're always there's something shorter term right in front of you, but a ton of what we do is long-term planning, because the cycle never ends, and it's so competitive. You're trying to stay ahead of it. So it's new technologies, new training methods. I think after kind of Moneyball, there was a long stretch where so much of the game and the advantages in the game were found in how we scout, identify players, and acquire players. What we value, and now so much of it is really on the development side. Why do we train players the way that we do? Are there different things that we can measure? Are there different things that we can teach them, given some of the technologies we have? Not just kind of contraptions to train a guy with, but really to measure, to give players instant feedback. So that is a really huge part of the industry right now, and definitely a big focus of ours.
Yeah, how much vetting, because there's so much information out there, and that's an issue. We talked about this at the beginning of the season. The Mariners kind of put a position in place for as far as training goes for players, and having a guy that just goes and vets all those different places where guys are training, because so much happens outside the organization. From your standpoint, how much are you kind of filtering through that stuff and saying, what, quite honestly, what's garbage and what's actually usable with all this information that's out there?
It's big. And we try to visit some of the main ones, and you can learn a lot, in a variety of ways about some. I think a lot of these training centers are really good, and they've been adopted even before the big league teams. They've been adopted by high schools and college programs trying to get ahead, and so they have some pretty good. They've proved themselves out in some different areas. Listen, you can drive yourself crazy trying to be on top of every single training method, technology, new machine that they have. I think what we try to vet a number of them, but I think really what we want to do is find a couple that we think work for us and work for our players, and get really good at using them, and make sure that they're accepted within our culture. People understand why we're using them, why we're pushing on these things, before we try to move on to the next. Otherwise, you're constantly throwing stuff at the wall, and I think you lose people along the way doing that.
When you're inner circle, when you're kind of talking about exploring new ideas, How about the checks and balance system, the way you build your front office, right? Obviously, guys that are great with technology. Yep. I would assume guys that have been on the field, it helps, and trying to have a bunch of different kind of voices. Is that part of putting this thing together at the front office level?
It is, and trying to identify guys that have, I say guys, you know, I'm from the East Coast. That means men and women.
Everybody,
you know,
yeah.
But trying to identify, job candidates do have that complement each other, you know, and bring a diverse background. And like I said earlier, we spent quite a bit of time this summer, and we'll continue into the fall, looking at how we're structured. Is it the right way? You know, we really structured ourselves one way in 2006, 7, 8, when AJ left, and then Thad subsequently left 2 years later. You know, we've made some changes to how we're structured. You know, when we first got started in 06, 07, there was no R&D. We didn't have an R&D department. Mm-hmm. We didn't have there were, analytics. It was us. It was just part of our process in identifying players. Now we have a pretty substantial, mature department that, from a process standpoint, how do we make sure that they're involved on the front end of the decision making, that the information that they've been able to generate is being used by the end users, whether that's us as decision makers or that's coaches on the field trying to give feedback to players so the players can make improvements.
Last one for me, and I wonder about this, your track. You talked about starting with the Rockies and then working your way up here with the Rangers organization. Then you become the guy, right? You're now at the top. The first time that you had to let somebody go, I got to imagine that's tough, right? Because you can do all this stuff behind the scenes, but then when you're in charge, you have to make some really difficult decisions that you realize affect people's lives. I always wonder about that for buddies of mine that are now managing at the big league level, either sending guys down or releasing them. Was that a pretty tough experience? What's that like?
It is. I will say that making changes with scouts, front office staff, coaches, trainers, strength, that was more challenging than on the player side. And maybe it's just there's a sense that, hey, the player will get another job, will catch on with another team. And certainly the other employee may as well, but just the salary discrepancy, and so that is a lot more challenging. I remember the first move we made was we let our strength coach go, and we made a great hire, and Jose Vasquez has been with us since. But that was really tough, to come in, and I'd been part of some of those decisions before, but when you're the one making the final call, and that employee has kids, and that's not fun. That's still, people ask me what the best part, the worst part. That's still by far the worst part of the job is, ultimately making decisions for the right reasons, we think, but that are going to have negative impact on really quality people.
It makes this kind of awkward because it's kind of time for us to let you go for the night. As we bid you adieu, let me ask you this, though. Going back to that first time, the winter meetings, you're Peter Gammons, you're having a couple of pops. How much different is it today than what you thought you were getting into then? Like, did that guy, did that John Daniels have any clue what he was getting into?
Zero clue at all. I mean, I just remember walking when I got the job with the Rockies, and just, first of all, part of my job with the Rockies then was to literally print off. I mean, I did a bunch of advanced scouting stuff and with VHS tapes and rewinding and charting it into the bat system, and then literally printing off every report that came in on the amateur scouting system and filing it into the.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of dating myself, but no, the job is, the game has changed dramatically. The size of the operation has changed dramatically. And just the areas that we compete with each other has really changed. And that's what's led to a lot of the advances in the game.
Well, it's pretty exciting stuff. It's so interesting for all of us, and we really appreciate you taking a little time, give us a little peek behind the curtain tonight. And we're gonna ask some of your employees, some of your coworkers today, a little more about this, and it'll be interesting to see what we find out.
Ask Kip about his interview right on draft day when he came on. Ask him about some of the highlights of that interview, if you would.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that.
Good story.
You hired him on draft day?
What's that?
You hired him on draft day?
No, Kip was here before, but I'll tell the stories. We were in the draft room, and I don't remember how it got started, but Kip was offered think $20 for every time he said Mike Daly's name in the broadcast. So if you go back and look, he found a way. I think 6 or 7 times with you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
He found a way to drop Mike Daly's name
nice.
really awkwardly a few times.
Good for him. That's a fun game.
I thought I was pretty confident that he was at one point just going to go Mike Daly, Mike Daly, Mike Daly, Mike Daly, and rack up the dollars. But he played it straight.
Oh, that is a good time. I like that game.
Did you guys pay out?
We did.
Good.
Let's see if we can make him some more money.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just ask him what
Big
the
night
name is.
tonight, man. Big night. Oh, man. All right, well, a chance here for the Rangers maybe to strike first in this thing. 2-1 to Joey Gallo.
Say the job and the industry changed, but so has the job seeking. And I think you may have seen some of it. That the lobby now at the winter meetings, I mean, you can't see anybody.
It's unbearable.
It's between industry folks, media agents, job seekers. I mean, you literally can't move. And it's really changed.
It has really changed. Teams are even drafting front office guys these days, too. That's a story for another day. JD, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
All right,
JD.
John
Appreciate
Daniels, our guest. Back to the third inning right after this. All right, 2 scoreless innings in the books as we head to the third. Ariel Hirado will get Kike Hernandez to start this third inning and gets him started with strike 1. Hirado has allowed 1 hit, but everything else has been on the ground. Done a great job of getting the Dodgers to pound it into the dirt tonight. The Dodgers team that, as CJ pointed out earlier tonight, hits a lot of balls in the air and out of the yard. It's a great home run hitting ball club. Dave Roberts has his team 2 games out at the moment. 2-1 the count.
And not surprising, too, a night like tonight, both of these pitchers, but especially Hirado, work quickly. We talk about that pace a lot. Well, it's under 20 for the rookie, 19.6. League average is 23.5, and that's just an indicator of how much time they spend in between pitches. And it's one of the things that I really like about him. He's got the great sinker. He knows how to get ground balls, but he also keeps a really good pace. And for the kind of pitcher he is, it is extremely important because he keeps the defense engaged. He throws strikes, he keeps the game moving, and he keeps those guys on their toes. I guarantee you that this middle infield, and really probably all the defense, loves playing behind him. They love it because they know they're going to get strikes and they know he's going to move quick. And there's not a fielder in baseball that doesn't love that.
Well, Hernandez, the 8th place hitter, 228 average for the year, getting on base at a 307 clip, a little below league average. The Dodgers offense that has been a bit mercurial. I mean, day to day, you're not real sure what you're going to get. And I think some frustration in Southern California about it. This is a team that last year won what, like 104 games? And went to the World Series only to lose in Game 7. And that guy, Dave Roberts, 195 wins in his first 2 seasons as manager in Los Angeles. And that's the most of the first 2 seasons since Earl Weaver back in 1969 and 70. And he was with Baltimore as Hernandez takes a walk to start this third inning. Hey, tomorrow, the finale of this quick series, and it's a Texas Chili Company $1 hot dog night. You can get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. So man aboard, and it brings up Chris Taylor. Hirado got a double play last inning to help his cause. This ball in the air, but foul. Taylor was the breakthrough guy last year for the Dodgers. He was such the great story, big part of I guess that magical Dodgers season, one that they really figured would end up with a big ring on the finger. This year, Max Muncy is sort of the 2018 version of Chris Taylor.
Amazing how that works, right? You get organizations that just seem to have a knack for finding some guys, whether it's, you know, a player that hasn't been getting it done at the big league level and you make a trade, or maybe it's that minor league free agent who has bounced around a little bit. And there's a lot of organizations that believe when they identify a guy, oh, here's what we like, but we put him in these situations, whether it be platoon or if there's this little adjustment we can make in his swing, we'll be able to get a little bit more out of him, or talk to that pitcher about his pitch usage. And there's a lot of those stories that happen around the game. Just as John Daniels was kind of talking about all the information that's floating around now and everything that the front office is trying to put together and getting their hands on some players that have surprise seasons. And it's rare that a team that's really successful doesn't have at least one of those stories on their club. I mean, the Max Muncy situation has been pretty special. And when you think about the injuries that they've had here and some guys that are underperforming, and talking about Chris Taylor and Puig a little bit, it's crazy to think, but you could say, where would they be without Max Muncy? That's a fair question.
Oh, for sure.
And that's a crazy question that they never thought they'd be asking or talking about in August.
I don't think they would really be much in the conversation right now without what Muncy has done for them. 30 home runs this year. Tied for 11th in the National League. Nobody in baseball is hitting home runs at a more rapid rate than Muncy. 1 in every less than 11 at bats. In fact, he is our TXU Energy Power player to watch, if you can believe that. That worked out well. Look at that, 5 home runs when he was with Oakland in 96 games. This year, in just a few more games, 30 home runs with the Dodgers. So it has been a great year for Muncy. Meanwhile, the 3-1. Taylor fights it off. It's a full count.
So a lot of times with Machado, we'll talk about these spots and the ability to get that ground ball to turn the double play. It's not a great matchup in that regard, just because a guy like Taylor, even though he's not having the greatest of seasons, hits the ball in the air more than your average hitter, doesn't hit it on the ground very often. But he has grounded into 5 double plays this year.
Swing and a miss, and Taylor strikes out, 1 away. All right, time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in with John Radigan. All right, thank you, John.
It's a matchup you don't see too often. Marlins, Red Sox at Fenway. I guess once every 6 or so years that you get that one. Kind of an interesting matchup, without a doubt.
First pitch swinging. This time Peterson sends it into left field. That's a base hit. Menendez stops at second. It's a 2-man aboard.
We saw Jock Peterson get a little bit aggressive and chase some pitches out of the zone in his first at bat. Here's a 2-seam fastball. It's got good run on it, and Peterson does a nice job of staying with it. Now, as a right-handed sinker ball pitcher, you love the idea of throwing that pitch away and trying to get a hard swinging lefty to pull off of it. But it's been a little bit of a difference for Jock Peterson this year. He's done a better job of hitting the ball the other way. And that's one of those singles where you just go ahead and tip your cap to the hitter.
The Dodgers with a little opportunity in this 3rd inning. And here's some Dodgers fans making noise here. Turner takes one in. Mentioned Turner, he didn't come off the disabled list until May 11th and has been limited to just 71 games this year for the Dodgers. And what a difference he has made. Serrato and everybody will break contact.
We'll get our first mound visit, as there seems to be. I don't know if it's a communication issue with the signs having a runner on second base, or maybe what the game plan is. They're not the first time that they've had a runner in scoring position. Robinson Chirinos just wanting to make sure him and his rookie are on the same page.
1-1.
There's a good heavy fastball we talk about with Jurado. And you say, what do you mean heavy? The ball weighs the same no matter what all the time. But it's a conversation that happens a lot with sinker ball pitchers, the way that ball feels. The spin rate has a lot to do with that. And Jurado's got one of those heavy sinkers. But one he doesn't want to elevate like that. That pitch is up. He is a guy that does not want to miss up in the zone. When he is on, everything is at the knees or thigh high with good movement.
I got the one strikeout this inning, got Taylor. And it's not a huge part of his game, just the 12 strikeouts and 32 innings coming in. But we've seen a couple of swings today that have not looked real confident from the Dodgers. And I guess just as the Rangers are getting their first look at Buehler, so are the Dodgers with Jurado. And the base hit to right field. They'll go station to station. Bases are loaded.
And now you've seen back-to-back where a lefty and a righty have taken Jurado the other way. And those are good approaches. And it's a couple of base hits. So now you got yourself bases loaded with 1 out. But by the way, watch it here from Turner. There's the two-seamer. Pretty good. Good downward action. It just came over the plate a little bit more than he wanted it as he tried to throw it backdoor. Watch Nomar Mazara here showing it off a little bit. This is a pretty tremendous throw. Good finish. That's about as on the money as it gets. You see third base coach Chris Woodward holding up Kike Hernandez.
Well, now it gets interesting. Bases loaded. Manny Machado at the plate. And he'll take outside.
Machado did a nice job of getting some really weak contact for Manny Machado in his first at bat. You see the ground out there. It was a ground out to first base that barely went off the end of the bat. It was just kind of trickled. Manny didn't even see the ball at first. It didn't come out of the box.
Machado still represents good power, of course. He's still one of the best all-round hitters in the game. But as you pointed out a little earlier, just 7 home runs since becoming a Dodger. Ground ball up the middle, and that one just through for a base hit. Hernandez in, Peterson will score, and the Dodgers get the first 2 tonight. Machado just found space up the middle.
Yeah, tough break here for Jurado. He makes a really good pitch and he gets weak contact, and it sounded like Manny might have broken his back. But you see it right there in between Odor and Elvis Andrus. If that ball is hit 5 feet to either direction, it's probably a double play, and neither guy can really dive for that ball as they both came kind of running in at the same time, and so it goes through, which allows that second run to score. A tough break. Made the pitch that he wanted, got the contact that he wanted. It just didn't go where he wanted.
So now the cleanup man, designated hitter Max Muncy. I mentioned Muncy hitting home runs at a very high rate. 1 home run every 10.6 at bats. And that's best in the majors. Jurado really needs a ground ball here. Second time through the order. And the Dodgers have picked up a couple of runs here in this 3rd inning. Only 1 out. A ripped foul. Pretty good reaction time down there.
It's a good thing everybody's smiling. That ball was ripped.
It's 2-1 the count. Yeah.
There's the damage.
There it is.
Game face from the ball girl down there, by the way. Intense. I like it.
That one was coming at him 108 miles per hour. This one a little slower. 2-2 on Muncy. Muncy saw the numbers a little earlier. He came up with Oakland. Just did not have a lot of success with the A's. And a year ago was without a job. Got released in spring training just before opening day. What about a month without anywhere to play? And then took a job with the Dodgers in their minor league system. Hits this ball out of the air right field. Coming in for it, Machado will make the catch, 2 away. We've been talking about the turnaround for this team, and part of it was the return of Justin Turner. They were without Turner through May 15th, and then he came back, and they've played a whole lot better baseball. They're scoring more, a lot more power. Now you can't give Turner the credit for the ERA going down, or maybe you could. I don't know.
You can try to take credit for it. He's been one of the great waiver stories, of course. Justin Turner having a little conversation there with Rougned Odor about where he was standing when he caught that pickoff throw. Well, remember, he was with the New York Mets. He's really been a great turnaround story, especially for a guy later in his career. And the Mets just kind of used him as a utility guy. He didn't get a ton of at-bats. He had 1 year in which he had 435 at-bats, but other than that, never a significant amount. Never more than 200. And so they let him go. He's claimed off waivers, and he just went off after that with the Dodgers.
Well, that ball hit well into left field. Around third base, Turner. Here comes the throw. It's offline, and everybody else moves up the base. Well, Dozier with an RBI single to left, and then takes second base on the throw. 3-0.
Well, take a look at the pitch here. It's a breaking ball from Machado, and not a terrible one. You see the location, but Dozier is all over this. Base hit, and Chu coming up throwing, and this was going to have to be a perfect throw to give him a chance, and it was a little bit offline, and that allowed that run to score.
Well, Doug Brocail has to go out there, have a quick word. The pitch count exploding on Machado in this third inning. Machado has thrown 30 pitches already in the third. So Brocail out there, as much as anything, just chatting with him and trying to buy a little time. Eddie Butler's been throwing in the bullpen on our Southwest Airlines bullpen live look. It appears he's ready if needed.
Of course, the concern in these situations is always the total amount of pitches that he has thrown in an inning. The Rangers don't like to see their guys get much past 40. That'll be the max that they allow, and Machato's a guy that will pump strikes, but you see him here at 30 total so far in this inning. Trying to find that last out.
So Grandal, who bounced into a double play in the second, takes low, 2-0. 3 runs are in. Dodgers have second and third at the moment. LA did not play yesterday. It was a quiet schedule around Major League Baseball, just a handful of games. And they actually made up half a game in the standings because the Diamondbacks lost in San Francisco to the Giants. And so the Dodgers moved to just 2 games back of Arizona. Now, yeah, they're chasing Arizona, and they're only 2 games out. But they do also have Colorado up ahead of them as well. Colorado 1 game back in the division.
Yeah, it's become a pretty interesting division in baseball. That'll be a dogfight, no doubt about it, the rest of the way. Those are all good clubs, all have the rosters to be able to hang in there as we head down the stretch and get ready to start September here pretty soon.
And there's ball 4. So Grandal is aboard, bases are loaded, and that's going to be it for Machado. The Bannister just can't let him go any further and risk injury. So he is signaled to the pin. Machado goes just 2 2/3 tonight. Our who's in, who's out pitching change sponsored by In-N-Out Burger. Machado is out. Eddie Butler is in. Set off on Fridays for the all-you-can-eat seats in the home run porch. Tickets are available this Friday, Rangers and Twins. And you can use coupon code T-Mobile, TexasRangers.com/specials.
All right, see Eddie Butler and the numbers for him this season. Game number 18, of course, he pitched with the Chicago Cubs earlier this season. It's fastball, slider, curveball, and a changeup that you will see from the Ranger right-hander.
Well, he gets the 7th place hitter, Cody Bellinger.
Another contact guy. We mentioned that Machado relies on the contact, not a high strikeout rate. Same thing for Eddie Butler, just 4.2 strikeouts per 9 this season, but an unbelievable ground ball rate of 55%. And he'll inherit these 3 runners here. And he's only taken on 7 inherited runners so far this season. 3 of them have scored. So he's in a favorable spot right now as far as a 2-out situation. And of course, you got Cody Bellinger. He'll be a pretty tough hitter.
Just off the plate, 1-1.
You know, and Bellinger, it's a down year for him overall compared to what we saw last year. Expectations were really high. And his splits certainly favor right-handed pitching. He's hitting .278 against righties this year, just .221 against lefties coming into this game.
2-1.
I think he's a really good example of why we've gotten away from batting average to some degree. .267 last year, .259 this year. Okay, 8 points, not a big deal. But the OPS is down significantly. .933 last year, .807 this year. Now that on-base plus slugging at .807 is still really good. It's well above league average. Usually comes in around .750, but down quite a bit from a year ago.
Slow ground ball right side, and Odor is there for it. That will end the inning, and the Dodgers will settle for 3. There's some runners out there, though. We head to the bottom of the 3rd. LA with the early 3-0 lead. Assistant General Manager of Player Development. Jace, thank you for taking a little time today. So let's just start with the obvious, the simple one. What the heck does that mean? Player development. You're in charge of it.
No, that's a good question. I think the main responsibility, kind of overseeing the farm system, the player progression from each of our levels, whether that's Arizona to Spokane to Hickory to down east to Frisco and Round Rock, and then we've got 2 teams out in the Dominican Republic. So fortunately, I've got a lot of good people that I work next to, and they do a very good job at their job.
Yeah, there's a lot involved there, obviously, the travel and then trying to keep up with the entire system. How many players in the Rangers minor league system approximately right now?
Not really counting the Dominican Republic, and right now we probably got 80, 85 players down there. But we kind of prepare for about 180, 200 players, throughout our season.
And the reality is, how many of those guys get to the big leagues, percentage-wise?
Statistically, the last I heard is about 3%.
That is amazing. And then, of course, the guys that actually stick and have lengthy careers gets even significantly smaller.
It's probably even fewer, and hopefully, our whole team of from scouting to player development, we hope to be a little bit better in the industry, and hopefully we're better in that 3%.
What is the greatest reward for you in this role? When you talk about player development, you get a first-round pick, and he turns out to be who you think he's going to be. That's great. But what about maybe when you find that guy that nobody else saw, or you get a guy that's coming off a couple of bad years, but you find something in player development and turn him around? How rewarding is something like that for your department?
I definitely think that's rewarding. I think the majority of our coaches, our coordinators, I think we do our jobs because we can help. So when you see some player start to gain confidence and start to learn about themselves and maybe find out that they have something to offer the game, whether that's at the major league level or they're just steadily improving in the minor leagues. When you see them start to gain confidence and start to learn about themselves, it's definitely rewarding.
Okay, so you said like 180 to 200 players in the system, not counting the Dominican where you have another 85.
Yep.
So how many people work in player development?
You know, it's probably under the umbrella around like 80, 85, you know, including trainers, strength coaches, nutritionists, peak performance, certainly the managers, hitting coaches, et cetera. So it's probably around 80, 85.
And it's a monster operation with some huge responsibilities. I think one of those things that fans probably don't realize. Of course, they're looking at this product. This is the one that they care about. But the amount of work that you guys are doing at that level is pretty incredible. Evaluating coaches, kind of part of your domain, I have to believe. Is that a difficult thing to do as far as getting the right people in the right place?
It's difficult. You know, we have a leadership team that, you know, we go out and we kind of evaluate and you know, we get together and, you know, we try to identify the things that Jeff Bannister and his staff look for on the staff, and we try to do the same. I think the most important thing we look for, you know, a coach that has a heart of a teacher, and, you know, that can relate to players but gets in there and grinds, and credit to our coaches. I'm guessing the people at home don't realize, you know, the coaches that, you know, at our affiliates, you know, they're gone 6-7 months. They're away from their families, and they're married and they have kids, and being able to sacrifice 6-7 months of their summer and, you know, over half a year being gone, it's a big sacrifice, and we've got a big group that makes that sacrifice.
Base hit for Ronald Guzman here in the third inning. So how many miles a year do you travel? Do you keep track of that?
I really don't.
But you got unbelievable upgrades, and you got and rewards, you know, and everything else.
I'm a Southwest guy, so I know they're our sponsor. So I've got the companion pass for my son. So
nice.
Now that school starts, he can't travel with me. But yeah, it's a lot of miles.
How cool is that for him to be able to kind of share this with your family a little bit, and for him to get, how old is he?
He's 6.
So to get a feel for, I mean, what actually happens when you're a kid and you're dreaming about being in the big leagues, you aren't thinking about being an A-ball. Like, that's not something that really ever is part of your dream, but that's the reality. How cool is that for him to kind of see that in what you do every day?
He loves it, and, you know, our staff, as we go to towns, they kind of bring him in, and then the players are just tremendous with him. So, you know, they'll get him out there in early work and play catch, and so my son Gabe, you know, he absolutely loves it. We go out to Arizona. Their games don't start till 7 at night. And after the first night, he was up at 5 in the morning ready to go back to the field. I'm like, buddy, like, you know, the players don't get there till noon. But we end up going over at 8 a.m. But it's a good experience. It's, you know, I think it's for like all of us, you know, whether it's the coordinators, coaches, we're gone so much. So anything you can do to spend a little extra time with the family or a perk like that, you know, it means a lot, because we're gone quite a while.
Your background as a player, you started as a player, which is not as common as it used to be in different roles in the front office. How much of an advantage do you see? Because I watch the guys, the way they react to you, and I think it's always different when you had a guy that put the uniform on. It seems like there's, not that they don't respect the other guys, but there's something about a guy that's been there and done that at the minor league level that really kind of helps with the relationship you have with the minor leaguers. Is that something that's hugely important to you? You think about how your background as a player and what it does to your job now? You know,
I think it helps just relating to, you know, maybe understanding the failures in the game. You know, fortunately, I've been coaching a long time, and that was because I was a poor player. So I got an early start on coaching. So, you know, I think just being able to interact with players, understand the struggles in the game, I think we can relate. But, you know, we've got so many people from different backgrounds that bring so much and, you know, to the table that, you know, it's, you know, for these players, I think they're getting information from all sides.
Well, to that end, you know, CJ's point, started as a player. When I got here, you were coaching. Now you're in player development. You've worn a lot of different hats. You seem, you know, really happy in the player development side, and obviously very good at it. So what, you know, what is the path for you? Where do you see it going? And then, like, how did you end up on the player development side of it?
You know, switching over from you know, coaching, you know, at the major league team in 15-16, when I got this opportunity. You know, my background's been in player development, and I think I know where JD and the leadership team here, you know, I know their vision and where they want to go. I think like the biggest thing that drew it to me was, you know, I like being around young people, I like being around young players, but more importantly, the guys that I've worked with along the side, whether that's, you know, Paul Kruger, that oversees a lot of our administrative stuff and kind of oversees the minor leagues. Corey Ragsdale, our field coordinator, Danny Clark, Jeff Andrews, Todd Walter, that they deal with the pitching. So I think the most attractive thing is having people that you trust and that you worked well with, and they make my life a lot easier.
No player wants to talk about the end of his career while he's playing, but if you found yourself identifying some guys, you're like, you know what? Keep tabs on him. This guy could help us in player development one day. They're weird conversations to have, right? You may have had them, and the guy's like, hey, I'm not done yet. They don't want to have that conversation until they're done. But are you kind of finding yourself evaluating who might be a good coach one day?
Yeah, that's a great question. We just got back like a week ago, and we start planning out instructional league with some of our leadership team. And about 3 or 4 of those guys had mentioned they had a list of 3 to 4 guys, players, currently that, hey, these are guys, not saying that they're done, but these players have the qualities that we'd be looking for, whether that's scouting, whether that's player development, coaching. So yes, we're always looking for that.
Jay, you're bilingual, right?
I'm not as fluent as I used to be. When I was down in the Dominican, what was it, 07, 8, and 9, I finished up Spanish 1, 2, and 3 there. And then coming to the States and having young Latin players, I was close to fluent. Being up here, all the players speak English, and so I'd speak to them in Spanish. They're like, "Hey, speak to me in English." Like, no, I need the practice in Spanish. So it's not as sharp as what it was in 2009, but I can still get by.
All right. So I think the greatest reward has to be, or one of the greatest rewards has to be, seeing the matriculation of players as they advance, right? And CJ was talking about this earlier, but so for you, when a guy gets a call up to the big leagues, how often have you been there for that moment, or have you had the opportunity to deliver that news to a guy? Because I would imagine that would have to be one of the most fun things you could do.
It is, but I think it's important because of coaching, for a while, to understand that the coaches and managers are doing the heavy lifting. They're with them day to day. And so, probably 9 times out of 10, we prefer that manager with that coaching staff, whether that's, in Frisco, in Round Rock, to share that moment together, as much as, myself or other guys want to be a part of that. We do understand that they're the ones doing the work. They're the ones on the daily basis, and for them to share that.
Have you been in a room, whatever, a part of any one of the good moments where, some of the more creative moments when a guy gets called up?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been there, and
anyone in particular you remember well?
I'm a pretty boring guy, so it's like pretty straight. But you've seen managers, mess with them, saying, hey, you're whatever, getting released or getting sent down a level or whatever, and then to mess with them and then tell them that they're going up. But no, I'm pretty straight to the point. Congratulations, and be sure and call your loved ones and let them know.
Well, Rudy takes a walk. Rangers have a couple of base runners here in the 3rd.
So right now, the state of the organization, there are a lot of young players that have been through the developmental process as Rangers at the big league level right now. Ronald Guzman, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa getting some great opportunities. It's a pretty long list, and it's pretty exciting. We saw the Rangers are not having the season necessarily we want them to have, but what that has been has created opportunity for other guys. Your job never ends. It's 12 months. It's every day. Do you allow yourself at all to step back for a second? You don't seem like a guy who gives yourself very much credit for what you do. But at least as a department, do you stop and look and say, guys, we're doing a pretty good job here, man. Some good things are happening, and we should be proud of the moment that we're in right now because our young players are making us proud.
Every once in a while we'll take a moment and kind of talk about that. Honestly, we save that for, the end of the year. We've got so many things going on in the minor leagues. Our Arizona team just got into the playoffs. Spokane's working to get into the playoffs. We've got 2 teams in the Dominican Republic that have qualified. They're down to the Final 4 in the playoffs. And then we're going to get ready for Instructional League, where we bring in, 75 of our top prospects, and we've got to plan 4 weeks, and then we've got to plan their off-season plans and what that looks like, and what did their months of October, November, December, January look like in the mini camp. So right now we haven't had that opportunity. We've got so many things going on, and we know where we want to go, and we've made tremendous strides on just the pure depth of the players we have. We've had some great second halves from a lot of our young prospects. It's been really encouraging. So there is a point where we'll, where we may, celebrate that, but we're not at that point yet.
All right, Jace, I have your official count of Mike Daly mentions here as 0. We're hoping that Kip can pick up maybe a little bit when he gets in here tonight.
Somebody gave away the.
JD couldn't wait to tell us.
No,
he couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to tell us.
Okay.
Which is I love that game. It is a fantastic game, and I like to. If you ever want to put a word in my ear that I have to use to throw it out, Dave, no, I'm in. I am in on that game 100%.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Hey, thank you though for spending a little time with us, and. I imagine you probably have a few reports to read tonight, 180 to 200 players.
It's amazing. It is amazing, the idea of keeping track of that many guys.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I'll get back and turn the Frisco game on, and hopefully Joe Palumbo's still throwing the ball well down there. So
beautiful.
It's good. Thank you for having me. And
thank you.
Let's get a comeback right here.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Jace Tingler, Assistant General Manager, Player Development, busy man. 2-2 to Elvis. And this one fouled away.
It's really good insight from both of those guys. Obviously, we've had an opportunity to talk to JD in the past, but we talk about the team, right? We don't necessarily talk about the job and the role. And I'm interested in, listen, I've been fortunate to be around this game for a couple of decades, and I still find myself learning things from those guys, what they do, how many people are involved, and the time that these guys put in. The minor league levels especially. And there's not a huge financial reward, and especially for those coaches. They do it because they love it.
This one hit hard up the middle, base hit. It'll get Kuzma to the plate. Odor streaking for third. And the Rangers are on the board on the Andrews RBI single. It's 3-1.
A nice job here by Elvis Andrews to get on top of a pitch. I was actually talking about this earlier today, and the one thing with Elvis Andrews is he can still get to good velocity. This is 97 miles an hour up out of the zone, and he gets on top of it and squares it up and drills it right back up the middle. That is not easy to do. With 2 strikes, you're trying to protect a little bit, and he turns around 97 miles per hour. Good base running by Ronald Guzman and Rougned Odor, who got the third with the head first slide.
And that will get Rick Honeycutt out there to the mound. Have a quick word with Buehler. Rangers with a 2-out walk, then the 2-out single. And Omar Mazzaro. Which makes it a good time for our Lowe's, a whole team together. You look at 88 home runs this year at home for the Rangers. Gallo leading the way. But there's Mazzaro, 11 home runs in this ballpark this year. And he's had a lot of success here. 11 of his 16 have come here at home.
I'm still a little jarred by the 3% number.
Yeah, that's a small number, man.
I mean, I knew, the odds or whatever. It is what it is. But 3% that even reach the big leagues of your current minor league system. And again, it gets really smaller for guys that stick and actually are able to hang around long enough to make some life-changing money and actually make a career out of it. And you go from all those kids in Little League to all those kids in high school to all those kids in college to finally get down to those couple of hundred in each system, right? So what's that, about 6,000 players maybe in systems? That's my math, right?
Yep.
And even then, about only 3% of those will actually ever get to the big leagues. It is really difficult. That's why, for me, I have so much respect for the players. And I think people in the system have so much respect. They understand the grind and how difficult this game really is and how tough it is to get to the big league level. Like, the idea of getting drafted is like the biggest day in your life as a player, right? Hey, you got drafted in the 7th round. That is a huge deal. You are the biggest thing in your town, right? And then once you get to the biggest, or get to your team, your organization, and by the way, you got a 3% chance of getting to the big leagues. You know what I mean? A 3% chance.
That's kind of mind-boggling. No, those odds are different, let's say, for a first rounder. Really,
sure.
You can see a difference first, second, maybe third round. And then it really drops off.
About half of first rounders make it, though. You go through and flip through some drafts, and there are going to be years where 10 or 15 guys from that first round never even saw the big leagues, or ones that didn't, get more than a year of service time.
Zara hits this ball up the middle, base hit. Odor is in. Andrews heads to third. It's a 1-1 game. Another really good at bat by Nomar Mazara. And it's been a long half inning for that man. Buehler is at 30 pitches for the inning.
It's a nice job here, as you mentioned, stringing those at-bats together after 2 outs and 1 runner on. It's now 3 Rangers in a row that have reached, 1 by the walk, and now a couple of base hits here. Nomar Mazara hits this ground ball hard up the middle. We've talked about this a lot with him. You can't shift him in one direction because he has no problem using the entire field. Teams have learned that over the course of this season. There was a time earlier where there might have been a defender standing in that spot.
Boy, there you see it already, activity in that Dodgers bullpen. So that was a 33rd pitch. That first one to Beltre there of the inning. And this ball over third, just foul. So you get into dangerous territory with guys. 10 pitches in the first, very nice. He had to labor a little bit in the second, and this one almost too much.
Well, it's a young pitcher, part of their future, and we mentioned that 40 number is kind of the caution zone for most teams. It's also how'd you get there. 22 the inning before to go with another 40 starts to scare you a little bit, and that's why there's action in the 3rd inning. And you have, of course, the Dodgers are so big on 3rd time through the order. That is a big one for them. And, you know, you're only halfway through the order 2nd time right now, but that's always one that is part of the conversation with the Dodgers. And they got a kid here in Walker Buehler that is a future ace for them, and they're going to take very good care of this young arm.
That was 0-2 to Beltre. Very high. I mean, 98 miles per hour, but wildly off the mark. I mean, not even close.
Yeah, that's a little bit of fatigue probably in the legs, trying to overthrow at the top of the zone, but not having very good command of it. But he's still way ahead here against the future Hall of Famer in Beltre. I mentioned the curveball, and even though that was a little way out of the zone, the curveball's been so good. It's a good combination after the high fastball, especially.
This one in the air. Heading foul. Is there room? There is. So Bellinger is there, and the inning is done. Rangers, they'll get 2 back. After a long 3rd inning, we go to the 4th. It's 3-2.
2 as we'll welcome you back to Globe Life Park in Arlington. It is time for our progressive fan of the game. It is Rosa and Carlos Ramos, who you guys just had a bunch of the Rangers out to your place not too long ago, which was where?
At Refuge Church in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes, and now you're here celebrating, what anniversary is it?
19 years.
19 years, and it happens to be a special night because it's Robinson Chirinos bobblehead night. So congratulations on your anniversary. Happy Annie. And it's like 6 degrees of separation. Like instead of Kevin Bacon, it's Robinson Chirinos, guys.
Makes sense. He brings people together.
He certainly does. And happy anniversary. 19 years. I'm also in the 19-year club.
Oh. Congratulations.
To her, yeah.
Have you already had the 19th? Or is
Yeah,
that coming up?
that pat. Off season, you know, you get, it's one of the downsides as a player.
Ground ball through in the left field, and a base hit for Kiki Hernandez to start this 4th inning.
Yeah, rarely are you going to have a summer wedding.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do the All-Star break and really force it.
All right, well, that gives us a moment now for a word from our friends from Southwest Kia.
At Southwest Kia, we've made car buying easy. $250 down delivers, monthly payments $250 a month or less. SouthwestKia.com.
And just so I can return home, I'd like to clarify I am indeed the lucky one of the group. I don't want to get locked out of my home.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Good recovery. Game of adjustments.
That's right.
All right, Chris Taylor now, 9th place hitter, a man on to start this 4th inning. Butler got that final out last inning. And may be asked to chew up a few innings here tonight. Dodgers got 3 in the 3rd off Ferrado. But it was a short night for Ariel Arado. There's a flare out into center field. That one drops in, a base hit. 2 men on. Hey, you know, the Coca-Cola Family Pack offers savings of more than 50% on tickets, food, kids-own access, souvenir programs, and Coke soft drinks. Family Pack's available September 3rd through the 5th, where the Angels are in town. Check it all out, TexasRangers.com/specials. Dodgers offense tonight looking pretty capable. 7 hits in the early going here. Jock Peterson, their leadoff man, 1 for 2 at the plate. Dodgers so far tonight 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Now they're coming off a sweep of the San Diego Padres, and they were pretty good in that series as well offensively. 11 for 37 with runners in scoring position, and there's another base hit with a runner in scoring position. This one out into left field. They'll throw the stop sign up. Chu dropped the baseball. Now the late start to the plate, and they'll throw Offer to the plate. Hernandez scores on what has to be scored in errors. Peterson the single, but no RBI. Again, one would have to assume.
No, I think you're right, and an unfortunate break for the Rangers because Hernandez started going back. He was not going to try to score. Here's a good look at the changeup and a pretty good pitch. And once again, Jock Peterson takes a pitch that is away and probably off the plate and hits it to left field for a single. And this is a little bit of a different version of Jock Peterson, as you see Hernandez holding up, and then at that point, too late. It's a good heads-up base running by Taylor as well. At that point, Hernandez had to go home because Taylor already committed to go to third. He is no longer just monster swing, dead pull, left-handed hitter Jock Peterson. Right, even though he would get on base, the way you would always look at him is you could get him to spin himself in the ground. You get a hold of one, he'd hit it a mile. But he took some monster swings, regardless of count. And you'll still see it. But what we've just seen in these last 2 at-bats gives you an idea of really who he's become really over these last 2 seasons. Willing to drive the ball the other way.
So on the corners, Turner 1 for 2 today. Lifts this one in the air, foul, and that one back out of play. Dodgers, when we saw the Dodgers in June out in LA, I think they were 2 games out of first place. Yeah, they were 2 games back. Now we see them here at the end of August, and they're still 2 games out of first place. In terms of payroll, ambition coming into the season, as well as really some of the aggressive moves they've made, you still would figure them to be the favorites, but they just have not played that way. Short pop-up into left field, and Chu able to get to it. Runners can't advance, and now we've got a little bit of action on the bases, and they have a chance at third. Whoa! Somehow Taylor just got back in there.
This was a really unusual play where you had some guys, they weren't out of position, they were just in some awkward positions because Jurickson Profar is lining up for the cutoff, and he's grimacing a little bit, hopefully not in any significant pain. First of all, really high pop-up. You're going to see Chu coming on. Joey Gallo and left. Chu calls for it. He takes it, and he does a good job hitting the cutoff man right there. And Jurickson Profar picks up on the runner. Peterson trying to advance. And watch what happens after the catch. You're going to see it here. It's a good look at it. You got your rundown, but nobody's at third base because Jurickson Profar is a cutoff man. Now he starts making his way, and Ruben Odor's got to figure out when does he want to try to make that throw. And they were getting the runner to go back to third, and just a really tough play. Not one you ever practice, not one that comes up very often. And it's all about instinct, and the rookie's disappointed. He made a good throw, and just one of those things that Jurickson Profar wasn't quite there. Not his fault, just the way that things kind of lined up.
So Machado now, with runners at second and third, and the infield plays back. Now look for a moment like they might go up on the infield grass, and then they made the decision to play back, down 4-2.
You know, the other part of that too for Rugi, so once you got the runner Peterson in the rundown, but then once he looks to third, he can't see him anymore. Right now he's got his back to the runner. So if he thought he had an out at third, he got aggressive too.
High fly ball to center field. Gallo has a great arm, but this is really not going to be playable. Taylor will tag and score. The throw to third won't be in time. Big sac fly for Manny Machado, and it's 5-2.
That gives you an idea too why Rudy Odor was aggressive with the runner at third. The idea of getting that lead runner, taking the sacrifice fly out of play. A wild pitch as well. You love the aggressiveness, and just again one of those things. You don't see it too often, but you can't really fault anybody for what happened there.
So a 2-run inning. Here is Muncy. Peterson trying to see if he could maybe elicit a balk or something as he was darting off third base. But Eddie didn't take any bait there. Of course, Profar playing far enough off the bag at third that Peterson can take a rather large lead on that third base line if he wants. Muncy 1 for 2. That's a big swing and a miss.
So we're what, 7 runs into this game. There's 12 hits. Every single one of those is a single. Is it not?
Yeah, I think you're right.
No extra base hits in this game. Nope. 7 runs across the board.
1-2.
And you might think, well, has there been a bunch of walks? Not really. 3 total. 2 of them have scored.
Well, Muncy stays alive. We were talking about him earlier from Keller High School. So a standout local product. All-state. Drafted out of high school, but chose instead to go to Baylor and had a great career there. Knew that would improve his draft chances as he takes strike 3 called, and that will end the inning. So the Dodgers settle for 2. They leave a man at third. It's a 3-run game. Coming up, and Kip Bagg joining us here in the bottom of the 4th inning. He is the Senior Director of Amateur Scouting. Kip, thank you for taking a little time with us. Look, your job, interesting, just like everybody else's we've talked to here in the front office today. I want to ask you first, though, just if you would, some thoughts on Buzzy Keller. We learned of his passing today. Longtime scout, very respected man in the baseball industry, and a guy, of course, of local interest to so many fans.
Yeah, but Buzzy did a lot of things in this game. Player development, scouting, on the field, managing, played. Buzzy was with us probably for the last, he retired, I believe, 2 years ago from being a part-time scout with us. Randy Taylor, our scout there in South Texas, had Buzzy on. He was a guy, a tireless worker. The guy had so much energy for his age, and I believe he was like 83 years old when he passed. But kind of mourning Buzzy's a great person, great baseball man.
Yeah, you see it on Banny's hat. He's wearing the initials of Buzzy Keller up to the right. On his right, that is, on the cap. But anyway, a lot of connections, Buzzy, to a lot of folks in this organization and certainly in the state.
Definitely. Texas Lutheran Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you deal with a lot of these scouts, and they span a wide range of humanity, right? You got the young guys, you got the older guys who've been after it for a long time. They all bring different elements to the table. You must have one of the more interesting jobs, quite honestly, on the baseball side of things.
Well, I'm very fortunate. We have a good group. We have 26 full-time scouts inside the United States, continental, and I guess Puerto Rico and Hawaii. And not counting myself, and they're hard-working, passionate scouts, and they do a heck of a job. Makes my job very easy, actually.
Yeah, if you ever need a Hawaii scout and things don't work out from here in the booth, I'd be open to relocating, assuming you guys cover all the expenses. Is that one that's fought over?
Well, I think Steve Flores, our scout in Southern California, does cover Hawaii, who signed Izzy, Khalifa. He would probably not agree to that at all.
He's not ready to give that gig up.
No, he's not
Southern
ready.
California and Hawaii. That seems like a pretty good
gig.
territory.
Not a bad gig for Flo.
So how about overall, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of, we've been talking about the front office and different roles that everybody has. Best way to describe maybe what you do and how you got to this position sitting on top of amateur scouting.
Oh, man, I started as an area guy. Sandy Johnson hired me in 1990, I believe, and kind of worked my way up from an area guy to a West Coast cross-checker to a national guy, and ultimately JD hired me to do this job. And so basically it's a lot of travel, a lot of managing of people, but it's like I told you before, we have a bunch of guys that are passionate scouts who go out and work their tails off. And, like I said, they report on players, and it makes my job easy to pick them at the end of the day. They have all the information. It's actually pretty easy at the end of the day.
Cross-checker, a lot of people probably don't know what that is. I know when I was an amateur in college, and they're like, hey, the cross-checker's coming to see you. It's kind of a big deal. You were starting to slide up the scale a little bit. If you wouldn't mind maybe telling us that's about.
we have God, I should know the breakdown. I know it's 26 total, but we have 4 regional cross checkers. So each guys have area scouts across the country have certain areas they cover. 2 states, sometimes more states, depending on what region of the country is. And we have 4 regional guys who kind of oversee the area guys. Then I have 2 national guys who kind of do the whole country, and myself kind of do the whole country. And I have a couple of special assistants that to JD, Scott Littlefield and Scott Engler, who help me out also as far as going around the country and seeing some of the better players.
So basically, if your area guy's like, hey, I think I got a guy that can go pretty high, then the cross-checker's going to want to see him next. Is that the process?
Yeah, it's kind of they identify him on the ground level, and sometimes it's cross-checkers are really, and myself are kind of focusing on the year of the draft, and sometimes the area guys have a chance to see those guys a couple years before that, and so they have a little more history with them, and they can fill in the background part of the piece of it, and so it kind of goes in that kind of order.
Go ahead. I get this one because I'm always curious about it. Putting your staff together. What are you looking for? What makes a good baseball scout? Because it isn't always that you play. That doesn't necessarily have a ton to do with it. It could help, but I've heard people say it could also hurt in your industry. What are you looking for in a scout?
Well, I think probably the first and foremost is work ethic. A guy that's passionate about the game, that really cares about the game. Being an area scout or a scout in general, there's a lot of time by yourself. You're on the road a lot, and the area guys are in their car driving tons of miles. I was talking to a guy today, one of our area guys, and he goes, I could talk myself into a lot of things in the car. And I go, yeah, that's what 4 hours drives will do. And so, it's a tough job. So these guys got to be passionate, be self-starters. There's not big, I don't check in on these guys. I'm not like a micromanager. They go out and do their job, and they got to want to do it, and they got to have passion for it. And obviously, they have instincts and judgment about players and evaluate the talent of them.
That's what fascinates me the most. Because, look, CJ played. He played with guys who made it, guys who did not. And CJ is also very honest, and he'll tell you about the guys who he said, the guy had no shot. This guy, he'll never make it. And these guys did.
Right.
And I'm thinking,
Cano,
like,
Carlos Guillen.
Yeah.
Those are 2 guys that
you don't want to start going over my list. There's guys on this field I don't even want to talk about.
So, it seems like it's kind of almost an impossible art to really master.
It's just like baseball. 3 for 10, you're a 300 hitter, right? Mm-hmm. And scouting's, we want to try to, narrow down the choices we have and be better than the rest of the industry. But it is a hard job. There's a lot of components to it. There's a lot of moving parts. And information is key. Mm-hmm. The more, the better. The better decisions we can make as an organization.
Is the information different today than it was, let's say, 10 years ago that you're looking for and trying to assimilate?
Most definitely. There's more pieces to it. When I originally started scouting, I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. I go out there and watch C.J. Nikowski pitch, and I could tell you exactly what he's going to be. I was that good. Mm-hmm. And I learned the hard way, that it doesn't work that way. There's a lot more information, a lot of hard work, a lot of background you got to do on players. Injuries factor in, analytics now factor in. There's a lot of things that make our choices a little easier now than they used to be. Actually, we were probably shooting a little more in the dark in the past than we are now, to be honest. We know a lot more about the player.
All right, quick bottom of the fourth. We'll see if Kip can join us here for a few more minutes. You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, Kip back here joining us. We'll be back in a minute. All right, a 3-run game as we go to the 5th inning, and we welcome you back in the booth. Kip Fag joining us here for another half inning. We appreciate the time, Kip, Director of Amateur Scouting. And we were talking last inning about some of the responsibilities and whatnot. I love the names, right? You were talking about cross-checkers.
Yeah.
When I first got into baseball, I was hearing about bird dogs. I was like, wow, bird dog scout. Now, that sounded really cool to me. But that's where it begins, right?
Well, I mean, a lot of area scouts, full-time guys, have what they call bird dogs or part-time scouts that go out and, like in little towns and sometimes big cities that go out and identify some players maybe at a younger level. Hey, there's a guy in 10th grade you need to see here in a couple of years. You need to see him now. That, you know, we still have a few of those guys. That's kind of gone a little bit by the wayside with a little bit of the advent of social media and everything and advances in technology. When I first started scouting, no cell phones, no computers. Used to go by and, you know, 1-800-817-8787. And, you know, every day, like 5 times a day, you go check and see he had messages. Way back in the day. No cell phone. I had a beeper when my wife was pregnant one time. That's about as far as I went. So.
That's awesome.
Now, how about this generation, the showcase generation? I think there's some good and there's some bad. And I wonder how much more difficult it is to project when you see these guys and they come out and they're throwing as hard as they possibly can, they're swinging as hard as they can. Has it helped? I mean, I gotta believe it's helped, but would you say it helped or hurt more? They're better players, but the showcase stuff, I think, makes it much more difficult for scouts. Would I be wrong about that?
I mean, in a sense, I mean, you get a chance to see these guys a lot more in what's it pretty well. In a sense, you get to see guys a lot more because in one setting where you never had a chance in the past to get all those guys in one spot. So I guess in one way it's easier. But, you know, I mean, back when you were growing up and when I was growing up, you're not as old as me, but when, you know, everybody played other sports. We played football, but nowadays that's usually not the case. I mean, majority of guys we're looking at on the amateur side, you know, either college, obviously, they're just baseball players, or high school guys, they're basically one-sport guys.
Do you wish they were playing other sports?
I do, definitely. I think they're more well-rounded.
Big conversations happening right now.
I mean, it's hard to do nowadays, and I get it. I mean, we're not at a point now in the way sports are in youth that happens. I mean, people, you know, parents, and you know, a lot of it is parents. You know, their kids specialize. Johnny's going to get a scholarship, and you know, they're going to start playing baseball or football or basketball, or whatever it is at age 10. That's all they're going to do.
So do they get extra credit then when you're doing your background checks on these guys? Like, hey, you play basketball.
Yeah, if they're good. I mean, Bubba Thompson, the kid we have now in Hickory, was a big time high school quarterback, and it didn't mean he made him a better baseball player, but I think it made him a more well-rounded athlete. And I'm not saying some of these guys that you know, I mean, that just strictly you know, concentrate on baseball doesn't mean they're bad either. I mean, it's just a sign of the times.
Does it make you feel a little bit more comfortable that they might not get hurt because they haven't been throwing as much? You know, if they're playing basketball and football, as a quarterback, you're still throwing the football around. But if the guy's a lineman or a running back and he's playing basketball, and so probably most of his baseball is only happening in the spring, is from an injury, you know, projection standpoint, make you feel a little better? Not that we can project them anyway, but sleep a little better at night.
We've done a lot of work as a staff, as a whole. I mean, through the front office, through the scouts, and trying to kind of figure out, you know, Jamie Reed and the training staff there, Dr. Meiser, and see if we can kind of predict some of that stuff or try to stay away from it. It's a hard thing, and there's a lot of factors that go into it. And sometimes a guy doesn't throw as much and plays 3 sports and has a Tommy John or gets hurt, and a guy that, you know, threw his whole way coming up and never gets hurt. So it's just hard to predict the thing. We're trying to, you know, that's one thing I wish we had a crystal ball. It's just hard to do.
Yeah, it is sort of the goofy part. You know, we just came from San Francisco where we watched Hunter Pence a little bit with the Giants. I remember when Hunter was coming up, you know, as a rookie, and everybody remarked on, well, that's some funky motion he's got there throwing. Well, he looks a little awkward at the plate. Now, it worked. He made it work. But I'm sure that stuff, you know, on the one hand, then there was the Mark Pryor case, right? Where Mark Pryor came, well, there you go. That's what they talk about. That's what they mean when they talk about pitching mechanics. This guy will never get hurt. That's a perfect delivery. Well, he got hurt. Career ended early. Pence still playing, even with his awkwardness.
Heads up, heads up.
I guess that goes back to how we started this thing in the first place. I don't know how you guys do it.
I just think there's no absolutes in this game when it comes to like looking at players or trying to project on players. I mean, always got to be open-minded An old-time scout told me a long time ago, he said, just never try to put yourself in a box, and there's somebody always outside of that box. And so we kind of, you know, breathe to that mantra as we go out there and scout too. We never take anything for granted and try to find every player. You never know. Jose Altuve, you know, whoever it is. Small guy, too small, too big, too fat, too skinny, whatever it is, you know. So we try to look at them all and try to, you know, get the best players we can for the Rangers.
How about maybe the ones that got away, non-Rangers, that you had your heart set on, but then they didn't. But then they didn't turn out to the player you thought they were going to be. No, but
Michael Young.
But let's say a guy that you were like, oh, I'd love to get this guy. It didn't work out. You couldn't get him in the first round, and he ended up not being the player. That happened more often than not, or is it the other way around? Those high guys, and they get it done.
There's both ways. I mean, I've had guys that, you know, I really liked, I thought were going to be great, and they didn't make it out of A-ball. And I've had guys that I didn't really like, and you know, we ended up being all-star. So, I mean, yeah, both. You do this long enough, and I've been doing it quite a long time. I mean, you find out, you just try to make the mistakes less as you get older. Let's put it that way. You try to learn from your mistakes you have, and some reason you didn't like that guy at the time, and you got to go back and look. And I think I appreciate all our guys. Hey, go back and look at your old list. Go back and look, you know, hey, why didn't you like that guy? Or why did you like that guy? You know, and then try to, you know, let's rule this down. Let's don't make that mistake again, or let's try to get that guy that was like that again. You know, type of deal.
Is it possible, though, that could make guys gun shy? I mean, don't you want a little gunslinger in a scouting department? Say, like, I mean, I know you want to learn from mistakes, right? But you probably also want to swing for the fences every now and then.
I mean, with the right information, definitely. I mean, I like guys that like players, and I like players. I mean, a scout that doesn't like players is the easiest guy to not get a player. So I think if you're going out and being a scout, you got to like players.
Strangest place you ever found a guy, strangest situation that ever produced somebody that you guys, you know, drafted.
I wonder if those stories are still out there. I'm curious about that too. But also, because some people say, well, it's not like it used to be, so you're not going to go find a guy in the middle of Nebraska anymore because he's doing a showcase in Chicago anyway.
I'll give credit to Chris Kemp, who used to be a scout here, is now in San Diego. He found C.J. Edwards, is now pitching in the big leagues with the Cubs. He was throwing in a men's league in the backwoods of some small town of North Carolina. Really? South Carolina, I think it was North Carolina, and brought him to a workout. And CJ was throwing 85 to 86 miles an hour. And, you know, I like the kid. We like the kid. He did work. We took the guy in the, I don't know, 30-something round. And the next thing you know, he's throwing like 93 and like 2 months later.
Wow.
You know, so, I mean, weird things happen.
Yeah. And he's a string bean, too. He's an interesting guy to watch. How he can generate the power that he can generate is pretty amazing. This one I wanted to ask you, too, because, you know, having already one son that went through high school and just having these conversations with parents, I often say, and tell me if I'm wrong, that summer baseball is almost more important than high school baseball. You mentioned the guys that can go up against each other when you get the best of the best and you're trying to scout. And to do all of it, I think, is asking a kid a lot, to go from January through August, where sometimes you're going to see him or your guys are going to see him later in the year. That's the most important time, right? For him, June, July, August is his most important time to shine in front of scouts. And I always wonder, are they wasting bullets trying to get you ready too early for a high school season? Not that we should discount high school baseball. I'm just wondering if the summer's more important than the season.
I think it's all important. I mean, we watch guys through the summer. We identify guys in the summer, and that is just definitely important. But I mean, we make a lot of our decisions on some of the stuff we see in the spring, also in their high school years or their college seasons. You know, we see a lot of the Cape Cod and the college guys, or the Northwoods League, or whatever that summer league may be, and then we see all the high school showcases, and we identify those guys. And when it comes down to like narrowing it down, we have to make some decisions on what we see in the spring also. But it's all the big picture. You know, it's all of it means something to us.
Yeah, that Eddie Bain story with Mike Trout, right, where he was having a hard time, or you couldn't get the evaluation you wanted because he was so much better than everybody in his high school in New Jersey. The summers are what really mattered more. I guess that's why I kind of wondered about that question. Maybe it's a part of the country.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'll say this on TV that I didn't think Trout was the player he was when I saw him in high school. So I missed on. There's one I missed. I can tell you that right now.
Well,
there's a lot more, but I don't want to get into all too many. So, to be honest with you.
Well, look, it's still early in his career. We don't know yet.
Yeah, it is. It's quite early. He's kind of a young player. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, it is a wonderful challenge. And by the way, I mean, I think it was a great answer. But I think the short version was he was wrong.
Yeah,
CJ was wrong.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that.
No, it's often. No,
you can say that, Dave, but I can't say that.
But I'm more curious.
Mike Daly was wrong.
Yeah.
20 bucks.
20. Hey, now.
Well, a little pop up out into shallow center field, and Gallo will tuck this away. Kip Pack, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
That was really fun.
Appreciate it.
That was fascinating. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Kip Pack is the director of amateur scouting for the Rangers. It's a 6-2 game here. Visit your local GMC dealer today. 6-2 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Shin-Soo Choo will lead things off here for the Rangers. Our WinStar World Casino and Resort leaderboard. Choo, another streak going right now, is on base streak at 16 games. 3rd longest currently in baseball. Remember, he had the 52 game streak earlier this year, longest in his career. Caleb Ferguson, the new pitcher for LA. It's right in there for strike 1.
Take a look at the numbers for the left-hander coming out of the bullpen. Game number 20 for him. An excellent strikeout to walk ratio and an excellent opponent's batting average. You see fastball, curveball, changeup for the repertoire for Ferguson. The fastball average is 94 miles an hour. The curveball sits around 75 and that changeup at 85. It's been a very good year for the lefty. He's done a pretty good job against left-handed hitters. 212 batting average against and 214 against righties. So good even splits. You love that as a manager. A lefty that you could bring in that you're comfortable facing both lefties and righties.
Well, he checks in here after the shortest start of Buehler's young career. This is rookie season, but the shortest start he's ever made, just 4 innings pitched. So kind of a weird night in that way as Choo swings and misses. And there is one away. Hey, this Saturday, the Twins in town, and the first 15,000 fans to the ballgame on Saturday get a Rangers captain bobblehead courtesy of Toyota. You can go to TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS for tickets. So Ferguson gets his first strikeout of the night. And now it's Rougned Odor. Rangers only managed a couple of runs off Buehler, but they just wore him out. Buehler threw 84 pitches in his 4 innings.
Well, the Rangers did a really good job of getting him out of the game. You saw his stuff. I mean, it is a plus arm, potential future ace. He's also got a little bit of an edge to him. He's got that kind of Max Scherzer gamer attitude with him, a little animated for a young pitcher, and it probably only gets a little bit more outward as he gets older and more comfortable.
Well, really a strikeout and a walk. He has scored a run. Rangers got their 2 runs in the 3rd inning. 2 runs on 4 hits so far tonight. There's a strike, 2-1.
I got to tell you, Kip made me feel a little better about myself. Right? I was like, I've told you those stories, guys I play with. I don't think so. Yeah, I'd trade them. When kind of the rumors came up, whether or not they should trade some minor league guys, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd trade Robinson Cano, and I was way wrong. And Carlos Key and some guys that I was teammates with in the minor leagues at the time. But boy, to come out and proudly say, I was iffy on Mike Trout, but it's not uncommon.
No, it's not.
And he
at all.
had fun with it too, and you got to have some humility as a scout, without a doubt.
I find that of really a lot of baseball people, right? You have a lot of humility about it, but you share those stories with us, and he was brutally honest about some of that as well. Hard ground ball right up the middle, well positioned, and they're 2 away. And I guess if you're going to survive in this game, you better have the ability to maybe laugh at yourself a little bit and accept the fact that you're just not going to be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, as a player in the clubhouse, it's really important. But as a scout, I mean, there's so many guys. There's so many things that go on, and you miss so much. And not even that you miss, but going back to what Jace Tingler was talking about as far as how many guys actually make it. Or you could see a guy, you like his skill set, you like his tools. Yes, this guy's a professional. I think he could become whatever. That's part of the scouting process, right? They'll say, I think he'd become an everyday regular. I think this guy could be an all-star. Rarely will on the scouting scale they'll peg a guy as a future Hall of Famer. They'll look at guys when they draft say, hey, he's an organizational guy, he can fill a roster, he's got some tools, but maybe not a big leaguer. A lot of guessing going on, but educated guesses.
Ground ball to short, completes a quick bottom of the 5th inning for Caleb Ferguson. We go to the 6th inning. It's 6-2 LA. Right. And you know, MLB.TV is now available at a lower price. For $49.99, you can watch every out-of-market regular season game. Plus, get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Just check it out, MLB.TV, for all the details. Now, 6th inning here. It's a 6-2 ball game. And the Dodgers will be sitting there 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Los Angeles got 3 runs in the 3rd inning, 2 runs in the 4th, and a run in the 5th so far tonight. 6 runs on 10 hits. And Eddie Butler got the final out of the 3rd inning and now pitching in the 6th. So the Rangers getting some length out of Butler tonight.
Some conversations surrounding the Rangers whether or not he would see any time in the starting rotation before the year is finished. So a couple of the outings get a little bit extended for Eddie Butler, and that of course would give you the confidence to be able to maybe give him a shot or 2 before the season is over. It's certainly something he would like to do. He's talked about that.
Two and two. There's been some talk lately about the Rangers experimenting a little bit too with the way they think about starting pitchers, relief pitchers. Jeff Bannister has been pretty clear about the fact he's open to the idea of what they're doing in Tampa Bay with the opener, not a closer, but an opener, a guy who starts the game, maybe pitched to the first 3, 5, who knows, 8 batters in a ball game before turning it over to more of a traditional starter.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory and one that we have seen the Rays use pretty well. And it comes down to really something you try out of necessity. As you see, Martin Perez, been some conversations surrounding him as maybe a guy that they would try that with.
Fly ball out into right field. That's a long run from Azara, and he can't quite get to it. Turner heads to second, and he has a double. Nomar almost got to that ball in time.
Yeah, he tried. This is a tough one. Not hit very hard. And this is a floater, and it is a long run. And you see Nomar coming on and trying to time it with the slide, and unfortunately just couldn't get there. And at that point, the speed, I mean, you see how far he slides on the grass. That's going to be an easy double. Based on the exit velocity and launch angle, maybe not necessarily one that was deserved.
This ball hit sharply up the middle by Machado. That's a base hit. Turner around third base. He'll score easily. 7-2 Dodgers.
That is now what, 4 RBIs on the night here for Manny Machado. It's a good look at the 2-seam fastball. It's got some good downward action, but it came back over the plate a little bit. Not the location that Eddie Butler was trying to throw to, as you see Robinson Trinos reaching back over to the other side of the plate. That was pretty well struck by Machado.
So Muncy, and he'll take that one off the right elbow. Maybe the triceps area. He seems to be all right. So a hit batter. And now the Dodgers have 2 base runners on.
Take a look at this. That's a good look at the 4-seam fastball. So trying to go in, but that one got away from Eddie Butler a little bit as he yanked it too far in. So now he's going to try to work that really good ground ball rate that he has here. He has been a guy that has posted a 55% ground ball rate coming into this game. He needs one right here.
Well, Dozier's had a good night at the plate already, and he takes strike one. Dozier reached on a fielder's choice in the second inning. That's an RBI single and a solo home run. Dozier, the former Twin, and well, the Twins will be in town this weekend. Dozier seemed to be really excited to become a Dodger when he was moved. Showed up quickly, middle of the game, came to the dugout and found his manager Dave Roberts, gave him a big hug. Reached base safely in 20 of the 24 games he's played now with the Dodgers. Chopper, third base. Profar will go to second for one. The relay, not in time.
Oh.
I say that Dozier beat it. That one may get reviewed. To the naked eye, that just, it looked like a double play, but been fooled before.
Let's take a look here. Guzman with the stretch. Oh, yeah, that'll get overturned. Remember, it's in the cylinder of the glove, not the back of the glove. Good job here by Jurickson Profar. He's got to wait for it, but see the footwork there? That's understanding timing. He does not catch that ball flat-footed. That's a really nice play and something you probably wouldn't notice under normal circumstances. But Jurickson Profar, as that ball was coming, actually both of his feet were in the air. So it could be one smooth transition. The feet come down. Get another look at the replay here. It's in the cylinder. He's definitely out.
Yeah, that shouldn't take too long.
But that was a great job by Profar. Little things you don't think about. He was in the air when he caught that ball. So that it could be one smooth. That was fantastic. Really nice job. And then the strong arm of Rougned Odor on the exchange, which allowed this double play to happen. And I usually don't like saying that with such confidence in the middle of a replay review, but I'd be pretty shocked if this one didn't get turned over.
That will have to be overturned. We'll see. Here we go. Yep, it is a double play.
I want to show you this one more time here with Jurickson Profar. This is really good. Watch him here. Watch. Feet aren't flat. Catch it in the air. 1-2. That makes all the difference in the world. If he doesn't do that, this double play doesn't happen because it would have taken him longer to get rid of the ball. And then again, Rougned Odor has been so good defensively, showing off the arm with an absolute bullet. Every little second matters in those situations, and it paid off there for the Rangers.
So now the Dodgers have a man at third, but there are two outs. And Grandal swings and hammers this one high in the air out to center field. Gallo has room though. And they'll make the catch. The inning is done. So some good defense. And the Dodgers have to settle for one run. We'll go to the bottom of the sixth. Now, Texas Football Days, presented by Jack in the Box, is a gridiron celebration. Beyond the teams and the games, it's about the people and personalities under the helmets and those that cheer them on. It's about camaraderie. Rangers, Mazzara, Beltre, Profar, the offense just looking for some way to get things started. They got the starter out of the ball game after 4 innings. So they're into the bullpen, but Ferguson was really good in the 5th inning. A strikeout at Chu and then 2 groundouts. It's just an 11-pitch half inning for the lefty.
Yeah, he looked really sharp in that first inning of work, and I mentioned the splits for him very good, pretty much even against lefties and righties, and so Dave Roberts is going to leave him in there, try to stretch it out a little bit, especially with Walker Buehler only lasting 4 innings. There's Dave Roberts. I don't know if there's a better voice, temperament for a manager in Los Angeles with this club. Young players, a couple veterans in there as well.
It's not an easy clubhouse or easy ball club to manage. And I'm not saying that necessarily the individuals per se, although there are some unique challenges there. You know, it's a pretty high level gig and a lot of high expectations, whether that is a function of the money that the Dodgers spend or the expectations in that market. But they go out, they get the big players, they expect to win. And then he has to deal with guys like Yasiel Puig, who is not in the lineup today. And Puig has had to sit the occasional game lately. He has struggled some. Mazzara strikes out to start this 6th inning. Here comes Adrian Beltre first though. A Chevy game break as we check in with John Radigan. Final season here at Globe Life Park. And full and half season tickets now on sale. Season ticket holders will secure a place in line for season tickets to Globe Life Field, which will open in 2020. So go to TexasRangers.com/seasons. Get started on your season tickets for next year. Pedro Baez on here in the 6th inning for LA.
Game number 43, 52 strikeouts for him in 43 innings. He's done a really nice job. You see the fastball slider changeup combination from the right-hander. It's pretty good fastball, averages 96 miles per hour for Pedro Baez.
His first offering to Beltre, lifted to short right field, and Kike Hernandez puts it away, 2 gone. Bring up Jurickson Profar. Well, the Dodgers sneak into town here after a homestand in which they were swept by the Cardinals and then turned around and swept San Diego. You talk about streaky. And this road trip for LA, just the 2 games here, and they're back home for a 7-game homestand, including, and you would understand if their attention strayed a little bit from series, because when they go back home, they've got 4 with the Diamondbacks, currently the leader of their division.
That's going to be important, and it was pretty much the same thing for the Rangers, right? Wasn't it out there for 2 days and back?
Yeah, I think it was.
Kind of a weird twist in the schedule.
Really one of the stranger. Profar fouled back at us.
So you flinched on that one. You didn't seem too concerned about the other one.
Yeah, the other one was going higher.
Yeah, you were confident.
Yeah, that one was coming right at my nose.
Yeah.
So it felt.
So they have those 4 with Arizona. They still have 6 more with Colorado, and then another 3 with Arizona after that do the Dodgers. As far as some of that head-to-head competition, they're going to have to go on a little bit of a run against those teams.
Well, the Rockies, kind of heated it up a little bit here lately. But, Dodgers, it seems to me like they've kind of been playing at this level kind of all year. Last year they had that run where they go 49-7.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And just tore things apart and never looked back. But this year they just kind of slowly chugged along at this pace. But as you point out, I mean, they're going to have the games they need against those teams in front of them. Just talking to people today, they don't seem, rattled or concerned per se.
Very LA of them.
That is very LA. That's a good point. Yeah, pretty laid back considering. They haven't played, I think, the level that a lot of people would have expected.
It's an important message to deliver for Dave Roberts. You don't want panic.
Little ground ball, second base. And a synchronized put out at first. Inning is done. We go to the 7th. Dodgers leading the Rangers 7-2. Hidden fees. That's transparency. By Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Shiner Light Blonde. It's light done right. Six innings in the book so far tonight. 7-2 Dodgers to this point. Bottom of the order coming up for LA. And Eddie Butler continuing to toil. That one just inside the line and down into that right field corner. Bellinger to second base. He'll head for third. Nomar out with it quickly, but they won't have a shot. That's a triple for Cody Bellinger. And the Dodgers have a man 90 feet away.
And this one, unfortunately, just well placed. Ground ball. Looked like that change-up grip from Eddie Butler. You see it just, a little contact there. Guzman, the first base umpire, but that corner could be a little bit tricky, and so Nomar has to be careful going to that corner. You don't want to get over aggressive and the ball gets past you. And the ball ended up dying up against the wall, and that allowed Bellinger to get in pretty easily to third base. Guzman and Sean Barber getting to know each other a little bit over there at first base.
Yeah. Little dance. Fly ball out towards center field. Long run back there for Gallo. Has room, and he makes the catch. One away. A sac fly for Hernandez, and the Dodgers extend the lead. It's 8-2. We're making some pretty good contact here tonight.
Yeah, it was a pretty comfortable swing from Kike Hernandez.
So Chris Taylor, a single, a strikeout, was hit by a pitch. Take a look at the Dodgers in-game box score, and pretty good involvement up and down today. Grandal the only 0 for on there, and he walked. One and one. So Taylor batting 9th, and we highlighted earlier the 8 players with 15 or more home runs on this Dodgers team. That's most in baseball, and Taylor's right there on the cusp. He's at 14 home runs, so they're close to having their 9th this year. And Andrus just couldn't get that one out of the glove easily enough, and so Taylor is on.
Yeah, interesting there. Looked like it wasn't hit very hard. And Taylor's a good runner, aggressive. And now Doug Roquel up on the phone. Maybe some action in the Ranger bullpen. Take a look at what happened here on this ground ball. Elvis is there. And you're right. You see that ball juggling around in his glove. And at that point, makes the right decision not to force anything. Don't force a throw that's not there. You don't have a good grip, and that thing's going to take off on you.
So the error on Andrus. And now it turns the lineup over for Jock Peterson. Eight runs tonight for this Dodgers team. And they've only gone over 7 runs a handful of times this month. Month got off to a kind of a slow start for them offensively until they had that 21-run outburst against Milwaukee. That's where a lot of the offense for the month has been for the Dodgers. They've had a couple other double-digit efforts. Peterson has a couple of hits already and lifts this one into the air. Short left field. Chu coming on. And that is out number 2.
Let's get to our Southwest Airlines player breakdown. We want to show you Jock Peterson and the job that he has done tonight. A couple of quality at bats. There's a pitch from Machado. It's off the plate. Lines that ball to left field. Good approach from the lefty. Then later against Eddie Butler. Look how far off the plate this changeup is. And he's still able to extend and cover it. And hit himself another base hit to left field. So Jock Peterson's had a pretty good night at the plate. We just saw him pop up. But a couple of quality at bats for a guy who you may not look at as your typical kind of leadoff hitter. He has had good on-base percentages, though, over the course of his career, but it's also been a lot of swing and miss in his game.
Well, Justin Turner now doubled his last time up, 2 for 4. Tough night all the way around so far for the Rangers. Down by 6 runs, but they've made 3 errors. Count 0-2. Ties a season high this year for the Rangers. 4th time they've done that. But as we have seen lately, still time in this thing. For Rangers offense, since the All-Star break, has certainly shown some moxie, especially late. Butler's 0-2.
96 miles an hour on that fastball from Butler. Tried to elevate, hump up a little bit, get it by Justin Turner in that 0-2 count. Shot right there. It's a good 0-2 pitch.
He's certainly gotten some good work in tonight. His 65th pitch of the evening. That one bounces in the dirt. Runner goes and no throw. And Taylor to second base on the wild pitch.
That was a good read, no hesitation from Chris Taylor. As soon as he saw that ball down, he was gone. Take a look at it right here. Breaking ball going for that strikeout, but spiked it a little bit too much, did Eddie Butler, and really nothing Robinson Chirinos could do. Watch it here, secondary, no hesitation at all. It was a good read.
So this now the 15th Dodgers at bat of the night with a runner in scoring position. Down low, 2-2.
So Jeffrey Springs, the lefty, up in that Ranger bullpen as Eddie Butler continues to work her. Pitch number 67 for him.
Up the middle, Andrus is there and throws out Turner, and the inning is done. So Dodgers pick up another one. We're at stretch time here. It's 8-2 Dodgers. LA, they have handled this Dodgers bullpen. They've handled left-handed hitters really well over the last week. They have struck out 43% of them. That's the highest percentage in Major League Baseball during this last stretch of games over the last week. They struck out 9 of the 21 they have faced.
Well, that's going to be important for them down the stretch as they lean on that bullpen a little bit more. And they're going to need big outs late. So the idea of being able to generate those swings and misses, we saw Caleb Ferguson do the same with a couple of strikeouts earlier. This is a bullpen that's got themselves a couple of pretty good lefties. And for the first time in my career, I put my right-handed relievers in black. I put my left-handed relievers in red. And I had to break out the green today.
For?
Switch pitcher.
Oh, Vendetti's in it. Yeah, that's
Vendetti.
true. Yeah.
They got the switch pitcher. Anyway, I think as we take a look at the numbers for Scott Alexander, gain over 59 for him. Overall, 239 batting average, but 175 against lefties, and that's why he is in there. As Grandal's probably catching his breath and trying to bring that voice down an octave or two after that foul tip.
So is that standard then? The green
for switch hitters?
Pretty well standard in.
I don't know
pitching.
if it's standard. Well, not in pitching, of course not. Like Profar's always in green for me.
Yeah.
All our switch hitters. Grandal's out there. But yeah, first time I ever put a pitcher in green. Now, obviously, for you, since you're plain Jane, everything's in black and white, it doesn't affect you as much.
Piece of cake.
Yep.
Rangers sending 2 left-handed hitters this inning, Gallo and Guzman. Chirinos splitting them up, and it's 1 and 2 on Joey. Rangers' last hit occurred in the 3rd inning. Zara's RBI single. Since then, they've had just. Well, we have seen just 1 Ranger reach base. Chirinos with a walk in the 4th. So pretty slim pickings in the middle innings. Scott Alexander, the 3rd reliever of the night for LA. 2-2.
Here comes the wind. I'm sure you can hear that. I can hear it over my microphone and catching your papers that are going flying by. Those flags are all over the place. Really picked up.
That one turned foul. Another tough play for our ball girl down the line. Some pretty sharp caroms down there.
A tough angle.
Yeah.
We saw that great play last homestand by a fan in the first row. Woman reached out full extension, and it was off the bounce, which made it even all the more impressive. I mean, it was all the range she possibly could have, but to get the read off of those hard ground balls that are hitting foul territory here at Globe Life, they can be tricky.
And Joey strikes out swinging. 1 away in the 7th. All right, it's time. Let's have a Chevy game break. Where in the world is John Radigan? All right, thanks, John. Just glad we could locate him.
Yep.
Especially, you know, this time of night. You can never be too careful with Rads. Now Trinos takes strike one. We take a look at the standings in the National League West and the wild card, because those two pretty closely tied. Bit of a mess. A lot of teams within striking distance here.
There'll be some good baseball in the National League the rest of the way. There's a lot more separation on the wild card side of things when you look at the American League as far as how many teams are actually involved. And the division races, one that's a little bit tight in the American League West, but it does appear that the Astros might be ready to start to run away with it a little bit. And even the Braves, a little separation, 4 games up on the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, if you were to pick a team right now that's going to win the National League West, how confident are you in any single team to really, right? I mean, between the 3 of them,
right?
I'm not looking at one going, oh yeah, well, that's the one.
No, I'm with you. I could eliminate a couple teams, but I can't.
Yeah, I mean, of the Dodgers,
can't pick among those 3.
Yeah, I mean, those things should be pretty good.
But let's play that game. You know, I mean, if you did have to pick.
So if the Dodgers don't get this Kenley Jansen situation figured out, and I'm sure he's going to be fine, but I mean, he's been struggling. He let up 4 home runs in his first 3 outings since coming back. That's going to play a huge factor for me.
Pop up back at second base. Yeah, why are you so sure that it's going to work out?
Well, I don't know. He's just been so good over the course of his career. He missed that time with the heart situation when they were up in Colorado, right, where he had the irregular heartbeat. They talked about him being out for a month. I just think about the emotions that he must have gone through, right? I know he's dealt with it before. Misses a couple of weeks. Oh, you know what? Actually, you can pitch earlier than we thought, but no rehab assignment or anything, just kind of throwing. And they were in dire need of his return, right? So you're sitting there, you're going through your life situation where you're like, hey, you know, I got this irregular heartbeat I got to deal with. That's a little scary. Boy, my team really needs me, and I'm their guy. And then he also had a baby the second day he came back and pitched. I mean, you talk about a lot on a guy's plate. And so they're backing him off a little bit. And he didn't actually have the baby, of course. That's why he did.
Yes, yeah.
You know, that's a lot. That is a lot on his plate in that spot. I just think he just needs to get clear of those things a little bit and kind of get back on track. And velocity's not down. Stuff is still good. But they need it. I say that, but they need him back in a big way to give them that confidence closing out games, because you can be playing well and take 2-run leads into the 9th inning, but you're going to need your closer to be able to finish it off.
2-1 to count to Guzman. 2 out here, nobody on. Well, I guess, you know, just looking at the schedule, that's part of what I think intrigues me about these teams left. I'm not sure about the Dodgers. I think I have some concerns. Bellinger goes to the bag himself to complete a 1-2-3. Happen. So 8th inning is next. It's 8-2.
Came out swinging it. A lot of well-placed hits early on. There were a lot of singles in this game, but Dodgers finding some space. Here was a sacrifice fly from Manny Machado. You see Chris Taylor scoring, Eddie Butler in early. Manny Machado again, base hit up the middle. It's been a good night for Machado, as you see it there. It is now 8-2 here in the top of the 8th inning. 13 hits for the Los Angeles Dodgers. 4 RBIs for Manny Machado. It's been a 2-for-3 night so far with him. A couple of singles, and you saw that sac fly to dead center field as he steps in the box here against new pitcher out of the Ranger bullpen. It's the rookie Jeffrey Springs, a left-hander. He's done a really nice job here so far with the Rangers. 14 strikeouts in his 14 2/3 innings. And for Jeffrey, with those splits, he's actually been better against righties. Overall, you see it right there, the .255 batting average. He's held righties to a .216 batting average against.
Well, on his first pitch, he gets Machado to roll one to short, and they just get him at first base. Nice play. One away.
A good opportunity there for Elvis Andrus to show off the arm. He was going to take everything that he had to get this out. The slow roller, he's got to play it on this last bounce and let it come up. Good exchange and a good strong throw there to Ronald Guzman. That was close.
So now Muncy will take a strike. Muncy 1 for 3, hit by pitches last time up. A lot of family and friends on hand tonight. In fact, there have been some moments tonight. In fact, that last time he was hit by a pitch, you could hear some boos from the Muncy supporters.
There's been some good back and forth. Rangers fans here tonight have done a good job kind of drowning out the Dodger fans. There's a decent amount of them here this evening, and there's been a couple of times where they've tried to get that "Let's go Dodgers" chant going, and Ranger fans, well, they're just not having it.
2-2.
House divided, can make it work. Although she has a Rangers tank top on to go with that Los Angeles Dodgers shirt.
Hedge your bets.
I mean hat.
Whoa, strike 3 called, and a strikeout for Jeffrey Springs. 2 away.
Let's get to our StatCast AI, which is powered by AWS. We're going to take you back to the 5th inning in this pitch from Eddie Butler that Brian Dozier was able to hit out, and he hit it out at 104 miles per hour in that projected distance of just 384. We were talking about all the singles up to that point. There have not been a lot of extra base hits in this game, and though since then we've seen the Dozier home run, the Hernandez double, the Turner double, and the Cody Bellinger triple. Four extra base hits of the 13 that the Dodgers have this evening, and none of the 4 hits for the Rangers have gone for extra bases.
Ball and a strike to Dozier. He's driven in 2 of the 8 runs. And Springs puts that one right at the very top of the strike zone for strike 2.
And Jeffrey not afraid to throw that fastball up there. It's not an overpowering fastball. We see a lot of these mid to upper 90s fastballs, but he's been 91 to 94. Not afraid to go up in the zone with it. That sets up that pitch right there. That changeup down and away.
Springs working quickly, and time called as Dozier wants a moment to rethink things. And Jeffrey doing a nice job. He does like to go after hitters. Ground out and a strikeout so far. And the 2-2. Look good. Strike 3 called. Back-to-back Ks for Jeffrey Springs. So to the bottom of the 8th now. Time runs short of the Rangers. Down by 6.
We head head to the bottom of the 8th, and we talked at the top of the show about Adrian going up against his favorite, or his former team, definitely not his favorite team, but one of the favorite things that I like about Adrian Beltre is his propensity to give back, and he is doing that tonight in a very subtle way. He received a letter and an orange bracelet from a little boy named Ian who has fought cancer, and enclosed a bracelet for Adrian to wear. He said that every time he comes up to plate, he shouts, "Go Adrian," and he wanted him to wear it in support of all the kids who are fighting cancer. Adrian, of course, obliged, and he is wearing that orange bracelet tonight on his wrist in support of Ian and all those kids fighting cancer. So good deed from Adrian, and an easy thing for him to do to make a lot of kids happy, guys.
Now that is really cool, and that's a great opportunity too,
Yes.
being in that role, right? What a fun thing to be able to do.
You're sitting here watching that game on TV, and he's wearing it. He's got the bracelet on. That's super cool and definitely encouraging to those kids, and very nice gesture by Adrian.
Now in the bottom of the 8th inning here, the Rangers sitting at the top of the order against Pat Venditti, the switch pitcher, currently throwing left-handed.
So I watched him come in. That's the first time I've seen him pitch live. Watched him plenty on TV, but he threw about four pitches right-handed, and then he threw about 4 more left-handed, and it was a very smooth and easy transition for him. Obviously, he's been doing this for a long time. He's bounced around a little bit, but that's what he's always done.
He gets Chu to roll onto the left side of the infield, and Machado is there. 1 away.
Let's take a look at the overall numbers for Venditti this season. It's game number 7 for him as he gets an opportunity here. Does a nice job. 6 strikeouts to 1 walk. The opponent's batting average is a little bit high, and it's interesting to look at splits, right? When a guy throws both lefty and righty. Lefty's hitting 357, right-hander's 273. This is a guy that's gotten some time with the Oakland A's, the Toronto Blue Jays, Seattle Mariners, and now here with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Whoop, Odor pulls that one foul. Almost had one to hammer there, and the count 0-1.
So they had to figure out the rules here for when he faces a switch hitter. Right, and that'll be interesting if we get to that point where he would see Jurickson Profar, because the hitter has to declare when he steps in which way he's going to hit. When he first broke in, there was an incident where he was in the minor leagues, where the hitter kept switching.
Yep.
They just kept going back and forth, and you're like, well, this actually could never end. They could just switch. But now the hitter has to step in and declare.
And what I'm not clear on was, did that rule emerge because of that incident? He was, I want to say, with the Brooklyn Cyclones, or at least that's where the game was. But I remember seeing that same clip when they were going back and forth, and the poor umpire, not much you could do. And so I'm really interested in the derivation of that rule. Did it emerge from that moment, or did it already exist and maybe it's just been on the books, but nobody really ever had to use it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And he just tried to quick pitch Rougned Odor right there. Hammered that ball, but unfortunately right at the right fielder. Take a look here, and now look at this. So he's actually going to get a couple of extra throws in right-handed while he waits for Elvis Andrus to come up to the plate. But here he is. These are the warm-ups on the left, right-handed, and low arm angles for both, and then there you see him left-handed. But you see that? He wanted to get a couple of right-handed throws in with the right-hander Elvis Andrus coming up, and so he fired a couple over to Manny Machado.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is amazing to me.
He hasn't had a ton of success yet at the big league level, but he's gotten some opportunities.
What's his 8th stint with the Dodgers this year?
Come on.
Up and down and up and down, yeah.
My goodness. The Yankees drafted him twice. They took him in the 45th
once left-handed,
round.
once right-handed.
That's a good one, Dave. 45th round in 07, and then the 20th round in 2008. Went to Creighton from Omaha originally.
What do you think's harder, what he's doing or like what Ohtani is trying to do?
Probably Ohtani, just because it's, I mean, listen, they're both really difficult, but I think Ohtani, the idea of You know, it's one thing to switch gloves. Okay, I'm going to throw some lefty, I'm going to throw some righty. It's Ohtani, I'm going to throw a bullpen, now I'm going to go hit in the cage, now I'm going to hit off the tee, now I'm going to do my pitcher's training or whatever it may be. So training your body is a lot different, obviously, for a guy like Shohei Ohtani.
One-two pitch. And we'll do it again. 2 out here in the 8th inning. Rangers trail by 6. And this bullpen has come in. The bullpen has not allowed a base runner. Ferguson came on in the 5th inning, retired 4 in a row. Baez got 2. Last inning, Scott Alexander with a perfect inning. Now Venditti, and it's a ball and 2 strikes on Andrews. Venditti's retired the first 2 he has faced.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too as I look at the scouting reports that I have. You know, the bullpens, it'll give me velocities and everything else, and I'm looking at Venditti's and it says, you know, 85 miles an hour on a fastball, but I wonder, is it the same for both arms? I don't think it is. One stronger a little than the other. It's the average fastball. Left, right. And I love his baseball reference page. Bats left, throws both. But then underneath, they feel like they need to tell us, and you know, it's all facts there on baseball reference. Venditti typically throws with the hand needed to gain the platoon advantage.
Oh. Helpful.
Yeah. See, they're 90 miles an hour there, right-handed. Yeah, you don't usually see that. Baseball reference doesn't get into an explanation. So it's unique for everybody. But a great story, no doubt. Was it Greg Harris who was the guy with the Expos?
Yes, Harris, yeah.
Right.
I think he pitched here too with the Rangers. 1-2 pitch and a chopper up the middle, and it's knocked down, but Dozier couldn't get a hold of it. Andrus is aboard. First base runner the Rangers have had since the 4th inning.
Take a look at this ground ball up the middle. Looked like a 4-seam fastball grip and elevated. A little bit of movement in toward Elvis and grounds it up the middle. You're going to watch Brian Dozier come over here and in and out of the glove. That would have been a tough play. We'd have to make that throw on the run. High chopper like that. Could not field it cleanly. So Greg Harris only did it once. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't.
That's what the baseball reference sentence says under his.
Oh, really? Is that right?
It says he alternated arms during 1 game. Was that when he was with the? Was he with the Expos, or he was with the Expos, right? His very last year, 1995. I believe I remember watching that.
That would make sense, right? Because right, you get to the end of the career and you're looking for, I don't know, maybe I'll drop down sidearm, maybe I'll become a knuckleballer, maybe I'll just pitch with both arms.
Yeah. Surprised he had a good year. I'm surprised it was his last year. He's 39 years old, but posted a 2.65 ERA.
Greg Harris was with the Rangers from 1985 to 87. 3 years with the Rangers and 3 pretty good years. 0-2. Well, Mazara, his base hit in the 3rd inning was the last hit the Rangers had enjoyed prior to Andrus just a moment ago with the infield single. Here's the 1-2.
I'll take a look at our T-Mobile Built for Baseball, which is brought to you by T-Mobile. Nomar Mazara has certainly been built for baseball. There's that base hit that he hit to right field, and then Ruben Odor scored. And then you see him here, and the strong throw and the reputation of Nomar Mazara prevents this run from scoring. You have to show off the arm a little bit, did Nomar Mazara, and really all the Ranger outfielders this year. The outfield assists, 29 of them on the season. At one point that was leading baseball. They haven't had many opportunities. They're currently tied for 2nd with the most outfield assists, but I think it's safe to say that Nomar Mazara is built for baseball. Guy's been doing it all.
2-2 pitch. Ooh, tried to sneak that one down the left line. It looks like, I mean, we've seen this from Nomar. He's not afraid to go the other way.
All right, so of all the baseball writers you know,
yeah,
who loves the WBC more than anybody? Who can't stop talking about the WBC all the time?
JP Morosi.
That's right. So he just texted me, said, hey, don't forget, Venditti started for the Italians in the WBC.
JP. Mazzara strikes out swinging, and the inning is done. So Venditti puts up another scoreless frame. We go to the 9th inning. It's a 6-run game. Guerin, that's tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Go to the Whataburger at North Denton Tap Road in Capel. While you're there, you can sign up to be a Whataburger What a fan. And you can win tickets to an upcoming Rangers home game as well as Whataburger for a year. Go to TexasRangers.com/appearances. We'll see you there in the morning. So Springs out for his 2nd inning of work. Looked really good in the 8th. And he gets one in there to Grandal for a strike. Grandal right now the only Dodger without a hit so far tonight. He's in a hole 1 and 2. This one off into the bat, out to center field. And Gallo, it's a good adjustment there on the run and pulls in out number 1.
Take a look at the Dodgers defensive play of the night here, which is sponsored by Jack in the Box. And we're going to take you back to the 3rd inning on this Adrian Beltre fly ball. And you see this one hit to the right side. Nice play here by Cody Bellinger, dealing with the wall. A couple of runners on. A big spot for the Dodgers defense. Not a lot of opportunities for them tonight, but that certainly was one. And a nice play by Cody Bellinger.
Springs finds the outside corner. Strike 1. Hits that ball a ton. Foul. 0-2 the count. So Bellinger's numbers this year not quite holding up to the numbers he put up last year, setting a National League rookie record with 39 home runs.
And he didn't get up till, was it first week of May or was it a little earlier now?
No, it was April.
It was April, okay.
But still
didn't start the season in the big leagues.
No. This one lined over third base. That's a base hit. Bellinger's 2nd of the night. All right, let's pause for a moment now to hear from our friends over at Kia.
When you're America's best value, you don't need some over-the-top celebration.
So Bellinger aboard for Kike Hernandez. Hernandez has been all over the bases today. Every time he's been up there, he's done something right. A walk, and he scored a run. Then he had a base hit in the 4th inning and scored a run. Doubled in the 5th. A sac fly in the 7th. One-0 from Springs, and it's outside.
We've seen so far from Jeffrey in his limited time in the big leagues, been about a league average ground ball rate. He has gotten a couple of double plays turned so far. He's got the kind of movement on his fastball. He can work it away to righties, try to get those ground balls. But now falling behind 3-0, he just wants to get one in the zone. Be careful here with Kike Hernandez. He's aggressive. If he sees something he likes on this count, he might take a big hack at it.
Good pitch. 3-1.
92 on the corner is not one that you take a shot at. They were trying to go away, and this one had some natural cut. You see it go across there. But for hitters that are thinking about gearing up 3-0 and taking a shot at something, they're going to look for something generally right all over the middle of the plate.
Well, takes a big hack at that one, but turns it foul. So a full count now.
He's a good personality too for the game, Hernandez. Yeah, he has a lot of fun wearing those old school stirrups, and it pains me to say old school, but that's fine. Those were the standard fare when I was a professional, or whatever. I played baseball, whatever you want to call it.
You were definitely a professional.
Yeah.
3-2. Ground ball up the middle. Diving near stop by Andrews. Couldn't quite pull it in. And that'll be an infield hit for Hernandez. What a productive night for him. Dodgers have 2 men on.
It was good effort by Elvis Andrews, but unfortunately just out of his reach. And there's the changeup, and he was able to get it off the end of the bat. You're looking for contact in this spot. But just another well-placed hit by the Dodgers. We've seen a lot of them tonight. A lot of ground balls that have gotten through, some base hits, opposite field base hits that we have seen from them this evening, but great effort by Elvis.
So the 9th place hitter now. Taylor today 1 for 3, hit by a pitch. He's also reached on an error. Well, Dodgers took both games in LA back in June. Won the opener fairly easily, 12-5, and then it was a tough game in game 2. A 1-run victory for the Dodgers to sweep that 2-game series, and now look like they're positioned well here in the opener of this 2-game set. Springs gets Taylor to fight that one off, the count 0-2. So this an interleague 2-2. And next year the Rangers will have a similar arrangement, but it will be with the Pittsburgh Pirates out of the National League Central Division. They'll play 2 in Pittsburgh and then see the Pirates here for 2. The Cardinals are coming here.
Going to Cincinnati, right, for 3.
Going to Cincinnati and Milwaukee. Chicago Cubs will be here for 3.
That's a brats and chili trip.
Yeah. Oh, you like that Skyline chili, do you?
No, I just know that that's what they're famous for. No, I don't dislike it. My issue is the potential clogged arteries with the amount of cheese that they put on top of the Skyline chili. Yeah. I mean, it's like a whole bag of shredded cheese.
Yeah, no, it's ample. Looking at next year's schedule. So it'll be the final year in this ballpark, and it will open with the Cubs here. The season ends with the Red Sox and Yankees.
It's almost unfortunate, right?
What's that?
That you end with teams that you draw anyway with, right? With Globe Life Park closing.
Comebacker, tip towards short. Good flip to second base to get that lead out. So they force out Hernandez. And with 2 away, the Dodgers will have him on the corner.
That's one of those ones where it probably hurts more than it helps that the pitcher gets a glove on this, but you're going to react. You're going to try to catch the ball, and Jeffrey Springs slowed that ball down a little bit, so they were unable to turn the double play because of it. Get a look at this right here. Watch this line shot. Springs, a reaction. Well, you know what? I mean, I don't think it would have got up the middle. I guess you never know. But it's just one of those things with pitchers. You're always going to go for it.
The glove waggle there a little bit almost looked like he was in between, like he was thinking about it. Good fastball right in there for a strike to Jock Peterson.
But the idea, listen, you don't have control over the schedule, but the Red Sox and the Yankees will always be a good draw for the Rangers, right? At any time of the year. And with the stadium closing, you probably see some really big crowds here down the stretch, and I was a part of that '99 Detroit Tigers team when they closed Old Tiger Stadium.
Yeah.
We were a really bad team, but it was jam-packed the last couple of months of the season. All the home games where people wanted to see the stadium for the last time. It was pretty cool.
Do you remember who the final game was against?
Kansas City Royals.
Okay.
Yeah. I started the last night game in that stadium. And then we finished it off the next day. It was a Saturday, and we finished it off, I believe, on Sunday. Todd Jones threw the very last pitch in that game. And what we did was everybody on the team wore a number of a retired or just any Tiger great, but no number for Ty Cobb. Right, so, but there was guys, so you would wear, you know, Robert Fick was wearing Al Kaline's number in right field. I believe I had Hal Newhouser's number, if I'm not mistaken.
Springs gets a strikeout to win the 9th inning. The Dodgers leave a couple of men out there. All right, last chance for the Rangers coming up, down by 6. Well, 8-2 the count here as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Looking ahead to tomorrow, by the way, our Ford pitching probables. Alex Wood will have the ball for LA. And it's been a while since he's been here, but last time he pitched in this ballpark, pretty good, 7 strong innings. Mike Minor has been sharp in his last 4 starts to a 2.55 ERA and 20 strikeouts to 3 walks. So looking forward to that one tomorrow. Pre-game coverage beginning at 6:30 here on Fox Sports Southwest. Kenley Jansen on to pitch in this 9th inning for LA.
So we're just talking about Kenley Jansen and some of those struggles that he had here lately. And so I don't know if leverage situations are necessarily part of it, but he's going to get a lower leverage situation here, up 8-2 in the 9th inning. And for Jansen, this has been one of the more dominant closers in the game over the years. Big right-hander and former catcher, but a guy that just throws pretty much that pitch right there. It is a nasty cutter at 92 miles an hour.
One to Beltre. That is strike 2. 94 miles per hour. 5th reliever of the night for LA. Their starter, Walker Buehler, with his shortest outing of the year. He went just 4 innings. Beltre bounces this one up the middle. That's a base hit. So Adrian on to start the 9th inning for the Rangers. He's got his first hit of his career with the Dodgers. That one ties him with Tony Gwynn.
Very good right here. We'll see that pitch up the middle. Nice job by Adrian. That swing that we have seen for so many years, taking advantage of that hole right up the middle. But a big shift. Poor Justin Turner.
So now 19th all time, or I guess tied for 18th with Tony Gwynn. Robin Yount just 1 ahead of him. His profile takes very high for a ball.
So I said poor Justin Turner. He is now basically playing second base. He's the 3rd baseman, but the infielder closest to the 1st baseman.
See, and this is, to me, this is the alignment that makes most sense to me. You only have one guy out of position.
Yep.
Everybody else is playing a very traditional spot. 1st, 2nd, and short, where you would expect to find them, at least for the last 120 plus years. The only guy doing anything weird is Turner.
I'm with you on that. I've always been a proponent of that, of swinging that 3rd baseman over as much as possible. If you're going to have one infielder on the left side, why wouldn't you have it be your shortstop, the guy with the most range? Presumably.
Three balls and a strike to Profar. There you go. Outfield straight away.
I mean, this is as standard as it gets outside of Justin. Everyone else is in a standard position except for Justin Turner. It's pretty amazing.
Tight, and that's ball 4. First 2 men on here in the 9th inning.
Now this is going to cause Dave Roberts to come out and want to talk to Kenley Jansen. This is interesting here. You know, the struggles, I mentioned how important this is. Kenley Jansen has just had a hard time, and so this is Dave Roberts coming out with an encouraging word, and it was a quick one. Just trying to get a message across to his closer.
Well, the body language for Jansen doesn't look real good. After that visit, as Roberts headed back in, Jansen, the shoulders just not held quite as high. The confidence seems to be lacking. And now facing a very, very dangerous Joey Gallo. 34 home runs on the year. And he runs that one a little bit in.
So I mentioned the last 3 outings for Kenley Jansen. He's taken a loss in 2 of them and a blown save in another. And he's thrown a total of 3 innings. He's allowed 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 home runs. Kenley Jansen has had seasons when he's not allowed 4 home runs.
Grooves that one. It's 1-1.
And the home run has been an issue for him anyway this year. 10 of them allowed this season, far and away a career high. His previous career high was 6.
Well, power on power. 1-2. Joey 0 for 3 tonight with a couple of strikeouts. It's had an incredible month of August. It's at 329 in the month. But a lot of good power. The 1-2. Kind of leaving it up. In fact, Joey with 12 home runs since the All-Star break. Beltre at second, Profar at first. Here it comes. That's a full count.
Nobody up yet in that Dodger bullpen, but I got to believe if Joey Gallo reaches, we're likely to see some action.
I think the outward expression there, Roberts, really belies what must be going on inside. You see some bodies moving. 3-2 pitch. Whoa! Strike 3 called. Right at the bottom of the zone. And Gallo goes down looking.
Some frustration there for Joey Gallo. Has worked really hard and has been very good in working the count. He saw that one below the zone. It was really close. Tough call on a full count. Yeah, you see it right there, and it does look below the zone. And certainly below the hollow of the kneecap is how the strike zone is described. And Kenley Jansen has had incredible control over the course of his career, and you start to wonder a little bit, did you get that call because you are a control guy and have been in the past? That one felt like that. That's unfortunate for Joey, who worked really hard in that at bat.
Yeah, yeah. Not rewarded, but Rangers still very much in it. A couple of base runners here. Chirinos could apply more pressure to Jansen. And Chirinos, of course, with very good power. Jansen, those slumped shoulders at times.
It's a big break for him, that call. You think about changing the momentum of an inning. Not feeling right. You get a big call on 3-2. Change things quickly for Kenley Jansen.
He and Grandal having a little difficulty coming to terms there. 1-1 to Chirinos. Whoa, a little tight. Rangers got both their runs in the 3rd inning. 2 runs, 6 hits tonight. 3 errors. They've left 5, but they got the first 2 men on here in the 9th. Gallo went down looking. Now the 2-1 to Chirinos. And he hits this ball hard into left field. That's a base hit. Into third base is Beltre. They'll hold him there. The bases are loaded.
Frustrating now, that call to Joey Gallo. Nothing you can do about it. It's over with. But obviously Kenley Jansen, who has been struggling again here tonight, not quite feeling right, as you're going to see Robinson Chirinos get this pitch right down the middle, lace it into left field. That good level swing that we see so often from Chirinos comes through once again.
So things getting a little more interesting here in this 9th inning. Beltre, Profar, Chirinos, third to first. Guzman has a hit. 1 for 3 tonight, and he takes strike 1. This ball out into right field. That's a base hit. Beltre's in. Profar right behind him. He's in. A 2-run single by Guzman. And it's an 8-4 ball game. Pressure mounting in this 9th inning.
And Dave Roberts, really, you see him there struggling, figuring out exactly how he wants to handle this situation. Confidence so key. Here's a good look at the cutter grip and that nice swing from Ronald Guzman. The Rangers have taken some very comfortable swings this evening against Kenley Jansen. And a nice job of base running here by Jurickson Profar. Watch the head first slide in plenty of time. So Dave Roberts, you're sitting there, you're trying to figure this out. You want to play this right. You need this guy. He's so important. At the same time, you see him struggling, and the idea of pulling him out in an outing like this certainly is not going to help the confidence situation.
Yeah, it's weird. You know, I mean, you're still very much in a race. You have to win the ball game if you're the Dodgers. But long term, getting Jansen back in a proper state of mind may be of greater importance. I mean, he's not going to let this one get away, but he's going to give Jansen every opportunity to get it done himself. Broken back roller up the middle. Jansen with a backhand. Second one on the first. And an unbelievable double play to end this one. And Kenley Jansen, the hair on his chinny chin chin.
Well, he didn't even see that ball go in his glove. He was completely looking the other way and just threw his glove out there. It's a good cutter. He gets the broken bat against Chu. Watch this. And he acted like he did that on purpose, like he knew that was going to happen. You got to be kidding me. That's the way you get out of a jam. It took him just one pitch, and that'll change things for Kenley Jansen. But my goodness, are you kidding?
Yeah,
bats flying at him. He's just throwing his glove out there, but it was all one kind of smooth motion in which he caught it as if he was planning that the entire time.
Which it was not. Well, the Rangers gave it a little fight there. The 9th inning would fall short today. 8-4 our final score. John Radigan, Mark McLemore, and Tom Grieve back in the studio, ready to break this one down for you tonight. For CJ Nitkowski, Emily Jones, and our entire crew, this is Dave Raymond. Thank you for viewing tonight. Stay with us. More coverage of Rangers baseball right after this.